Rivalry Saturday, and in the 119-year-old conference known as the Big Ten, these are the two newest members who are hoping the first of their meetings as conference foes will blossom into something more. Perhaps the rivalry of the East Coast in the Big Ten. It's Rutgers and Maryland meeting for the 10th time, all time here from College Park. Adam Amin, John Kajemi, Quint Kesnick in a moment. Two teams that are bowl eligible, and I don't think a lot of people thought that was going to be the case with these two teams entering the Big Ten. Very physical conference, but both teams perhaps have exceeded expectations, and a win for both would probably help their bowl projections a little bit, maybe a little bit of perception help.
It would mean a lot to both of these teams just because the way they started and the way they've persevered through injuries. I think Maryland getting to 7 victories, they would love to win this football game and start a budding rivalry with Rutgers. I think both of these teams would like to pull Penn State into the equation, but I'm not so sure that's going to happen just yet. So now for Rutgers, what can they do? They need to play physically, and they need to try to win this game to bud a little bit more of that intensity into these two teams when they meet again. I know a lot of the media were trying to blow up this portion of the story and the rivalry. Perhaps for more on that, we go down to the third member of our team in Quint Kesnick.
Adam, Ralph Friedgen, former Maryland head coach, returns to College Park for the first time as Rutgers offensive coordinator. Friedgen was the head man here at Byrd Stadium for over 10 years. 75 wins, 5 bowl wins, let go after a messy divorce in 2010 between him and new athletic director Kevin Anderson. On the field before the game, Friedgen shaking hands, has downplayed his significance of this return all week long. Connection to the seniors, though. He recruited this Maryland senior class, including 7 on defense and quarterback C.J. Brown. Ironic that it's Friedgen here wearing Rutgers red, trying to spoil senior day for these Maryland seniors.
We got a chance to talk to him earlier this week, Quint, and to his credit, he didn't throw out any vitriol. He was very positive about his overall experience at Maryland. 4 years down the road, perhaps time, as it does to many things, heals all. But we'll see what happens over the course of the day. Maryland and Rutgers, and William Likely, who's been very good as a kick returner, will step back, and Kyle Federico will get set to kick away for Rutgers, who deferred, and Maryland will receive to start the day. Very good return man who's in the place of Stefon Diggs, who's out for the 3rd consecutive game for the Terps. And Likely from the 2-yard line, off we go from College Park, looking for a seam. And a solid return out to the 34-yard line. 32-yard kick return just at his average, and C.J. Brown, the 6th-year senior, takes the field for Maryland. A lot of wisdom at quarterback with C.J. Brown and a lot of ability with his legs. I think that's where it gets started for Maryland offensively. He's developed into a true leader, and he's getting better from the pocket, but it's his legs that's going to lead the way offensively, and they want to get him started very early. They want to move the pocket and get him running the football aggressively to start this football game. He leads the team in rushing. He's responsible for 54 touchdowns after his performance against Michigan. That's the most in Maryland history. First down from the 34-yard line, and on a draw play, it's Wes Brown. A good downhill runner has a first down out across the 45-yard line. He's one of our impact players. He picks up 13 to start the day. Brown's a bruising running back. You saw the speed, but he's very good in the red zone with 5 touchdowns in long on the outside. He has to pick up the receiving core with the loss of Stefon Diggs on the outside. Defensively, it's Teray and Longa. They're going to have to surround the football and be very good at the point of attack for Rutgers. Teray, defensive end. Longa, the leading tackler, is a linebacker, and this is what C.J. Brown does very well. A solid runner who takes him for a short gain shy of midfield. Got taken down by Steve Longa right on cue. C.J. Brown averaging about 5 yards a carry if you take away the lost sack yardage this year. So very solid running quarterback. They want to make him be more decisive, even when he's in the passing game. If he sees a lane, he wants to tuck that football down and be decisive running the football. On second down, another give to Wes Brown. He dives ahead to set up 3rd and long from the 49-yard line. Let's take a look at John Kajemi's keys when Maryland's on offense. You mentioned C.J. running the football. His head coach, Randy Edsall, used the word reckless. I'll describe it as being decisive in the run game and in the pass game. And then for Rutgers, they have to tighten up. I mean, 28 rushing touchdowns that have been allowed by this defense, and the yardage, they have to be able to tighten up at the point of attack. Dion Long is the lone receiver at the bottom of the screen. No Stefon Diggs. Their leading receiver is out with a lacerated kidney suffered against Penn State. It's their 3rd straight game without their outstanding lead receiver Diggs. Just a four-man rush, and looking for a window. Brown finds it at the 40 to Jaquil Vay, the transitioned running back, turning into a solid receiver. Jacobs brings him down at the 39 of Rutgers after a 12-yard gain.
Great timing by C.J. Brown. He's going to let his receiver Vay just clear Kevin Snyder, 45, and a pretty good job by Vay of settling down in the hole. You don't get that much experience with him on the outside being a running back, but that was a good job to idle down in the hole.
Opening drive of the game, Brown at the 39 in Scarlet Knight territory. To give to Wes Brown. Right up the middle to the 34, 5 yards on the pickup. Both Maryland and Rutgers beat Michigan this year, but Maryland did it in comeback fashion on the road last week. A 23-16 win to get to 7 wins, equaling their total from last year. A win today for Maryland would get them to 8 victories. That would be the most in the 4 years under Randy Edsall. Kyle Flood, you just saw him, the Rutgers head coach on the other side, his 3rd season as the Scarlet Knight head coach. Officially a gain of 4, and it's 2nd down and 6. C.J. Brown, the first down on the keep. Taken down shy of the 20-yard line. Pickup of 14 yards on the run. Jonathan Aiken grabbed him before he could sprint into the red zone.
Be decisive in your reads in the run game. That's exactly the way they want C.J. Brown to play. And he's running north and south, and they're getting chunk yardage. This is not by accident. Offensive coordinator Mike Loxley wants to run the football to start this game.
Kenneth Goins is in the backfield as a fullback. Wes Brown is still the deep back here. There is Wes, and he's the downhill runner. He and Brandon Ross have been a nice tandem in the backfield, both similar in stature. But Wes Brown is the more downhill guy, Brandon Ross more of a perimeter runner.
And he has that burst. You could see the burst out of the backfield from number 4, Wes Brown. He's the sophomore, 5 touchdowns. He'll be utilized with CJ in the running game, especially in the red zone. Now they've crossed the 20. Watch the quarterback and tailback mesh point for Maryland.
7 plays, 6 runs so far. Off the fake, C.J. Brown has a wide open man in the middle of the field. It's their new leading receiver, Dion Long, who has to step into that role. Left by Stephon Diggs. He picks up 5 yards there. It'll still be short of the line to gain. 3rd down and short coming up for Maryland on the opening drive.
Another one of our impact players, Dion Long, coming in over the middle, but a great tackle by Lorenzo Waters in this defense. They have to find a way to get off the field and force a field goal opportunity on 3rd and very short for Maryland.
There is Long, his numbers just shy of 500 yards. No Diggs and no Juwan Winfrey, who is suspended for a 2nd straight game.
And it's man coverage. Look for pressure here on 3rd and short.
Brown looking for a window, just needs a yard, and he'll pick it up and right back to Dion Long. DeLon Stevenson tackles him after a 5-yard gain, but it's 1st and goal for Maryland. Coming into this game just 111th in the country in total offense. Again, C.J. Brown is their leading rusher this year. They've been injury-plagued all season, more so on defense, but again, missing some skill guys on the offensive end.
Well, this is where you look for your quarterback, C.J. Brown, to run the football.
He's got a lead blocker in front of him. Good pop on that block by Wes Brown. C.J. Brown gets close to the goal line, and he's run down by Anthony Chaffee, along with Steve Longa. 2nd and goal.
Brown does a nice job. No hesitation. This is a full quarterback sweep to the wide side. He gets a nice block out on the perimeter and almost gets it in to the end zone. Now the 11th play of this drive, and we've seen C.J. Brown take command of this offense.
C.J. Brown has 23 career rushing touchdowns. He's got an option, but he finds a seam to walk in. And the Terps strike first on their opening touch of the game.
Adam, sometimes patience is the key when you're running that option. C.J. Brown, the 6-year senior, had plenty of that inside the 5-yard line.
One One of the best kickers in the country is Brad Craddock, a Lou Groza finalist. Got to wait for some extra personnel to come on the field. He's been about as good as they get. An outstanding field goal kicker, has been perfect on point afters this year. He remains that way. And Maryland with a 7-0 lead. Rutgers has been porous against the run, especially as of late, and C.J. Brown doing the damage on that drive.
C.J. Brown, he was reckless, he was decisive, he was productive, and he found the end zone to open up the scoring for the Terps.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by TrueCar.com. When buying a car, save time, save money, and never overpay. And Jiffy Lube. Leave worry behind and stop by Jiffy Lube today for a signature service oil change.
The Cole Fieldhouse is an iconic Maryland landmark. The new Cole Fieldhouse will be a dynamic hub at the intersection of athletics, academics, and research. At least that's what the card tells me. The Terrapin Performance Center will include a dynamic indoor football practice facility, strength and conditioning facility, team locker room, meeting rooms. Somebody made a comment that they were saying this might be kind of like the Oregon of the East. Oregon's got the Nike money, Maryland's got the Under Armour money. Kevin Plank has done a nice job donating plenty of money to try to get this Maryland athletic program back into the black.
Boy, it looks like an unbelievable place to practice and be a student athlete for Maryland in the future. And they've done a nice job this season, you know, piggybacking off of all the looks they have as a football team, of proving it on the football field.
Craddock kicks away. Janarian Grant from inside his own 5 and a running start. Spins off one tackle, but will get popped at the 16-yard line, a short return. And Gary Nova, kind of the same typical quarterback we've seen for 4 years. Very streaky, but can be very good. Yeah,
and when he's moving his feet, he's probably a little bit better. And I think I credit offensive coordinator Ralph Friedgen for doing that. He spent a lot of time with the footwork, and I think when you get the good Gary Nova, you get a guy that's on target, that's on time, but there's not a whole lot in his game that has changed. When he's been good, he's been very good, and now he has to find that middle road when he's struggling a little bit to keep those numbers up.
First down from the 17-yard line. First carry of the game belongs to Robert Martin, a true freshman. And a good cut. He got ankle tackled on the perimeter by William Likely, but he moves the chains for 12 yards. He's one of 2 freshman tailbacks in the backfield. Josh Hicks is the other. Yeah, Martin's going to be one. Josh Hicks, he needs to break more tackles in the open field. He's the only guy that has reached 100 yards in the last 7 games. And on the outside, we've talked about Leonte Carew. He's dominant. He leads the team in receptions with touchdowns with 8. Second in the Big Ten in yards and in touchdowns. He's the guy on the outside that needs to be very effective. He has 39% of the team's yards and half of their touchdowns through the air. They set up the tunnel screen and a bad throw by Gary Nova to his high school teammate Leonte Carew. It brings up 2nd and 10. You saw the defensive impact players as well. Yannick Ngakoue on the outside, and William Likely at 5'7" kind of mans the cornerback, the field cornerback. May not be matched up all the time with Carew, but he's going to be very important today. He's a ball hawk. He's comes into this game with 6 interceptions. He has 2 of those going for touchdowns. So that's a guy Gary Nova wants to pay particular attention to see where his eyes are. If he's looking at Gary Nova, he's breaking on the football. Nova giving it to Robert Martin, and a decent run across the 30-yard line for 3, but it's going to be 3rd down and 7 coming up here for the Rutgers offense, which has seen a ton of running back changes due to some injuries. Desmond Peoples is out for the 2nd straight game. Upper body issue, he's their leading rusher. Paul James, who's still their 2nd leading rusher, tore his ACL after 4 games. Savon Huggins was injured at the beginning of the season, so now they're turning to Robert Martin and Josh Hicks, 2 true freshmen, with Justin Goodwin in the mix as well, the sophomore. This is where you have to really pay attention for pressure. 3rd down is one of Brian Stewart's favorite downs to try to come after the quarterback. Doesn't want Gary Nova to set his feet. Nova confidently throws, but it's low. Incomplete to the sideline, looking for Andre Patton. And it will bring up 4th down for Rutgers. They get a 1st down, then go 3 and out. Good defensive stand by Maryland. They come out and shut the door. First with special teams with a good kickoff cover group. And then they come out in 3 consecutive plays, turning back the Scarlet Knights. Rutgers has used 2 different punters this year. They're going to have to be careful. Joey Roth will get the first kick of the day, and William Likely has 2 punt returns in his career for touchdowns, including one against West Virginia in a 3-point loss earlier this year. Roth with a very solid punt, Likely from the 23-yard line. Shifty, small, but quick. And not much of a return across the 25 on a 45-yard punt and a 5-yard return. Maryland struck first. They get the ball back when you come back.
Check, 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 check. It's only one side still. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2
Okay.
1 2 1 2.
First year in the Big Ten for both Maryland and Rutgers. Maryland spent 6 decades in the ACC. Rutgers 1 year in the American Athletic Conference after a long stretch in the Big East. And this is what the standings look like. I don't know if people expected these 2 teams to be as successful as they have been in the Big Ten East. Maryland 4-3 in conference. Rutgers, I know they're only 2-5, but they ran a gauntlet schedule in the Big Ten. Both are bowl eligible. And most of the Big Ten, as a matter of fact, this year has become bowl eligible, including Illinois, who you saw earlier today knock off Northwestern for the Land of Lincoln Trophy. They moved to 6-6. Michigan was in a dogfight with Ohio State trying to get to bowl eligibility earlier today. So a very successful year for the Big Ten, even though the national perception may not seem as such. Second drive for Maryland, and C.J. Brown off play action. Deep drop with deep routes developing, and it's incomplete. Looking for Vey, and a good play by Lorenzo Waters, one of 2 Maryland natives on the Rutgers roster. Here are the bowl-eligible teams out of the Big Ten this year. Ohio State is on the list right at the top. Obviously, there is some thought that they would make the college football playoff, which might open up a bowl slot. This is kind of a must-win game almost when you think about it for Rutgers, because you know, Ohio State may not make the playoff, and they may take one of those bowl slots for the Big Ten.
Well, they're the marquee name, and depending on what happens, you know, later tonight and in the championship games, you never know where they're going to end up. And Rutgers, that's why this game is so important. Maryland already getting to 7 victories. They're going to have a little bit better pick, or someone will pick them in the pecking order a little bit earlier than right now Rutgers.
And obviously some terrible news for Ohio State today. J.T. Barrett had to be carted off the field. They put an air cast on his leg, so he's done for the rest of the year. How will that affect the College Football Playoff Committee's view of Ohio State? 2 for 2 on 3rd down on the opening drive. Pressure off the edge against a 4-man rush. Out of the backfield, here is Wes Brown, and he will not make it. Gets tackled by the ankles by DeLon Stevenson at the 31-yard line, and things get a little chippy after the play. Ken, maybe not the distinguished rivalries in the Big Ten. This is the newest one and only the 10th meeting, but it's the geographic proximity, the Ralph Friedgen storyline. We've seen Maryland get a little chippy at times this year.
It has to happen on the field, Adam. It has to come between the competition, in between the white lines. And I think it has the ability to get there because of the way these two teams are coached and the same pool of athletes that they're choosing from to be able to get to where they are as football teams.
Nathan Renfro waiting for the play clock to wind all the way down. Janarian Grant was back to return, and a big roll inside the 30-yard line. And Rutgers takes over down 7-0. Let's check into the studios. Matt Schick has an update. Matt, thanks very much. From the 25-yard line, Rutgers takes over after a first down and out on their first drive. And here is Josh Hicks getting the carry. And he'll work his way close to the 30-yard line. Let's go down to the field and Quint Kesning.
Yeah, understand that Gary Nova, Rutgers quarterback, is nowhere near 100% in terms of his health. Injured his right knee on October 25th against Nebraska, and it really has impacted his accuracy, his footwork. Questionable, the ability to plant and drive off that right knee. You saw it earlier on the one incompletion, and it bears watching throughout this contest.
That's a great point, Quint. You talk about being able to set some weight on that right foot and plant. We saw it on the screen pass. He kind of tippy-toed away from the line of scrimmage.
Good patient running by Josh Hicks, and he works into Maryland territory. Yannick Ngakoue finally caught up to him at the 45-yard line. A 25-yard run for Josh Hicks, the longest of his college career. This is a guy who came in as a very highly touted back, went to safety, now back at running back.
Well, the freshman out of Palmetto, Florida, does a nice job going off the right side and really reading the blocks at the line of scrimmage. That right side of the line, they get a hat on a hat, and he weaves his way through traffic for a big run. Terrific block by Burton, the fullback.
Had a great game against Indiana. He's the only one that has hit over 100 yards rushing individually in the last 7 games for Rutgers. Nova to throw on first down. The cornerback blitz came in, so he threw to the vacated spot to his best receiver, Leonte Carew. Anthony Nixon runs him out of bounds after a 16-yard pass play.
Jeremiah Johnson, the corner on the short side, does a terrific job of coming in on the blitz, but Gary Nova sees it, and there was too much cushion from Anthony Nixon coming over from that safety spot. So Carew's able to catch, survey, get outside, and move the chains.
Leonte Carew, 85 yards a game, is second in the Big Ten behind Tony Lippett of Michigan State, their outstanding lead receiver. Hicks on first down and another good run. 8 or 9 yards on that play as Johnson submarined him near the 20.
Adam, if Rutgers can win the battle at the line of scrimmage, this is a Maryland defense that has been awful against the run.
Yeah,
they're around 100 or 102nd in the country. So if Rutgers can win that battle at the line of scrimmage, use their toughness at the point of attack, they can control the football game and control the time of possession and keep that offense on the field.
Likely is moving along the line with Patton. Carew is at the bottom of the screen. They'll run it on 2nd and 1. And a good play by Sean Davis. The safety came over to help stop Hicks right near the line to gain. And it's going to be a little short. It looks like based on the spot, it's going to be just shy of the first down. So 3rd and inches coming up here for Rutgers.
I think if you're Rutgers, you want to run behind your best people. Their best people have been Caleb Johnson and Berjari, the center. Can they get movement right in the middle of that Maryland defensive front?
It's been a very good offensive line this year. Burton is in as a fullback, and Hicks is the deep back. He'll give it to Hicks. Just put his right shoulder into the line and got a few yards to the 16 to move the chains. Again, these are two teams new to the Big Ten. They're coming from conferences that can be more pass-happy, especially Rutgers. They came out of the American Conference last year. This is a run-dominant league. The Big Ten has been about the rush. These two teams want to compete in this conference. They got to be able to move the chains on the ground.
And they're going to have to do it when they want to do it. You know, this is a drive where you've seen 5 runs to only 1 pass. So they're doing it the Big Ten way. They want to be able to win at the line of scrimmage and then play action off of that running game.
Both teams said they wanted to establish the run against 2 rushing defenses that have struggled over the course of the year. First down from the 16 and back to Hicks. Got grabbed from behind by L.A. Gorey and then finished off eventually by Cole Farron. Maryland's linebacking core has been injury ravaged over the course of the season. Kyle Flood is in his 3rd season as the head coach of Rutgers, 43 years of age, Queens, New York native. Came to Rutgers in 2005 under Greg Schiano. Took over as the head coach in 2012.
This wouldn't be a bad time for a little play action here on 2nd and medium.
And Maryland may be expecting the run. 63 yards on the ground already for the Scarlet Knights.
Man coverage on the outside.
Martin is the back. Nova off the quick drop, throwing a back shoulder pass for Carew. That time he had Jeremiah Johnson on the coverage on the boundary side. It's 3rd down and 5. That's how they're going to guard Leonte Carew. They play boundary and field. Likely is the cornerback that plays on the field side.
Well, Nova's going to have to be better when they get individual man-to-man opportunities on the outside. Right now he's 1 of 4 for 16 yards. You have to be able to win the one-on-one matchups. That's going to be the key for Rutgers on the outside.
Likely against Carew, bottom of the screen on 3rd and 5. Nova plants, trying to take off, got hit from behind, short of the 1st down. Unable to go anywhere. Just 2 yards on the play and a solid tackle for Maryland. Good play by Jesse Annabonham, the 6'3" linebacker, caught up to Nova from behind to bring up 4th down.
Adam, I think there was a great example of that right knee maybe not being 100%, because if he was decisive, he might have been able to push off of that and get closer, or maybe even gain the yardage needed for a 1st down.
Kyle Federico hit a 44-yarder against Michigan State last week. This would be a 26-yard try from a tough angle. Federico, the junior kicker who won the job in preseason, has handled all the kicking duties this season. On the 2nd Rutgers drive, the Scarlet Knights are on the board. 7-3, Terps. Well, the Blue Devils, a rough end to the season. They've lost their last 2. Takes them out of contention for the ACC championship, but they can make history if they get a win tonight. It'll be the first time since the late 40s they've gotten back-to-back wins, or back-to-back 9-win seasons. They'll take on Wake Forest tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPNU, and watch ESPN.
That was an about-face by the Duke Blue Devils this year.
Incredible. Lost those last 2 games to Virginia Tech and North Carolina.
And they just didn't look the same. You know, they have a chance now to come back with one more game and, as you said, get to 9 victories.
Federico kicking off. Likely has been a very dynamic kick returner since Diggs went out, but having to run all the way to his right, he'll take a knee. Randy Edsall is in his 4th season as the head coach of the Terps. 94 wins overall in his career after 12 years at UConn. He replaced Ralph Friedgen, who is the now offensive coordinator at Rutgers. They were on staff together under George O'Leary all the way back in 1998 at Georgia Tech. He asked Edsall about it. Not much of a relationship there, at least going over the last decade and a half. That's totally understandable. How about Georgia Tech today, too? They get an overtime win over Georgia between the hedges.
They got the ball back with 18 seconds left.
Got all the way down and kicked a 53-yard field goal. Got the win in overtime. Incredible. This drive starts from the 25-yard line for the Terps, averaging 28 points a game. That's 7th in the Big Ten. First down, Wes Brown. About 2. And right into Steve Longa. And that Rutgers defense, which again has struggled. Rutgers in the last, we showed it to you, 4 games, nearly 1,500 yards rushing. But as we've also discussed, this is a run-dominant league. They faced a ton of good backs. So They faced Jeremy Langford of Michigan State. They faced Melvin Gordon and Amir Abdullah and Tevin Coleman of Indiana. So you can understand that those guys are going to run for a lot of yards, but that's far too many yards in 4 games to allow. Back to Wes Brown. Had a steam downhill, hit shy of the 30, and it'll be 3rd down and about 6.
Quarterback run's going to be key for Maryland. That's going to happen on the edge. But you would think Maryland might be able to push the pile a little bit because Kirksley and Hamilton, 95 and 91 respectively in the middle, very light at 275 and 255.
A very quick opening quarter here in Maryland. A 7-3 lead for the Terps. A lot of yards on the ground on both sides, and C.J. Brown has 24 of them plus a touchdown. That was on the opening drive. Rutgers got a field goal, 10 points in the first. Big Ten's newest rivalry, if you want to call it that just yet. They're hoping it will blossom into such. First met in 1920, but these two teams have only met twice since World War II. 5-4, Maryland has the all-time advantage. Third meeting since 42. The other ones were in 2007 and 2009.
Does Maryland try to move the pocket towards the field here on 3rd down?
C.J. Brown with a rifling shot over the middle for a first down and more. Amba Etta-Tawa all the way home. His first touchdown of the season, 71 yards. C.J. Brown is off to a red-hot start, and Etta-Tawa has been a big play guy for the last 2 years for this Maryland receiving corps, although he doesn't get a ton of credit or a ton of play. He's been a big play guy his entire career.
And it's just a quick slant, and it's perfect timing by C.J. Brown because he sticks that right foot in the ground out of the shotgun and delivers a strike, and then it was all speed after that.
Etta-Tawa averages 16 yards per catch over his 2-year Maryland career. A true big play threat.
Etta-Tawa is going to be at the top of the screen. All he's going to do is run a quick slant here, and the ball is perfectly timed. Watch C.J. catch and throw right on time in between 2 defenders, and then it's speed for Maryland. That's what these guys do. Get him in space with the football, and you hit him in stride. No one's going to catch him in a white jersey. Etta-Tawa just goes untouched for 6 points.
A lot of time in 2013 for this kid out of Powder Springs, Georgia. A lot of injuries last year in the receiving corps for Maryland, so he had 500 yards receiving last year. That was just his 9th catch this year, but by far his longest. And a guy who's been a big play guy for 2 years.
We talked about Dion Long and other guys trying to step up for the loss of Stephon Diggs. That one looked like a Diggs play because it was a chunk yardage play.
Solid start for Maryland here in this first half. 3rd and 6, they go 71 yards. So Craddock will get set to kick away in the opposite direction. Not much wind today. And it'll be Janarian Grant from inside the 5-yard line. And he finds a seam trying to. And grabbed right around the 35-yard line and swung down at the 37. But of course, it all leads to tonight. Maybe the biggest game of the season for #1 Alabama, trying to avoid the upset against number 15 Auburn in a rematch of last year's epic Iron Bowl, one of the greatest rivalries in college football. 7:45 Eastern on ESPN. Big game Brent. Jesse Palmer, Maria Taylor on the call. Alabama, a 15-game home win streak, still the longest in the country going right now.
Alabama, I kind of like them at home tonight, buddy.
Yep. Spread was about, what, 9.5 right around there, about close to it. But always interesting. The Game Day gang had a good stat about the site they go to. The underdogs have done a nice job of covering. It's been interesting. Those teams have played very well. On first down, a slant is caught at the 45-yard line, and Andre Patton, who has to do a little bit more for this team, at 2 receptions against Michigan State. Gets 8 yards on that catch. No Drew Terzilli for Rutgers. He had a pretty serious hamstring issue, so he's going to be out. and Patton's got to be that second receiver to step up.
It's only his 10th catch of the season, so you're right. Andre Patton needs to come on today to really take up the loss for Carew on the outside. And you mentioned Trezilli out of the football game.
2nd and 2, deep drop for Nova. He's got a deep out to throw, and it gets batted down. Keith Bowers off the edge.
I don't think Gary Nova wanted to throw that football at the last minute. That was really good coverage down the field by Maryland. That pocket was starting to collapse around, and he kind of pulled the string there on 2nd down to come back now and have an opportunity on 3rd down.
65 yards on the ground already for Rutgers. Let's see if they do it on the ground here. Keith Bowers taking the spot of Quinton Jefferson, who suffered a season-ending knee injury against West Virginia earlier this year. A lot of injuries on defense for Maryland this season. Toss play, running it is Martin. And he gets enough blocking to get close to the sticks. Right at the 47-yard line. And it will be enough for a 1st down. Alex Twine made the tackle, but just enough for Martin to move the chains.
Little student body right by Rutgers. Everybody up front was moving out. Outside the hash and by the numbers, those big offensive linemen getting out in front, doing a nice job in space, just trying to get a white jersey on a red jersey, and then the freshman Martin squeezes his way to a 1st down.
First down for the 47. Martin downhill. Has a lot of space on the opposite side. A shifty run for a 1st down to the Maryland 41-yard line. William Likely on the tackle. Let's check in with Quint Kesney.
Spent some time with Brian Stewart, Maryland defensive coordinator, before the game. We're standing by a bunch of recruits. Said, Coach, I don't see any 300-pound defensive tackles. He says, no, they're tough to come by. And that's one area where Maryland right now could use some big bodies up front. From field level, this is a very small defense. They're fast, but they're getting pushed around a little. Look for them to slant and create some movement on 1st down, and then bring in their pressure packages on 3rd down.
That's what Brian Stewart says. He loves to pressure on 1st and 3rd down. Likes to see what happens on 2nd down, he said. Nova, the pump and go for Patton. And he's got him inside the 20-yard line. He was inbounds. He made the grab.
I think they're going to see if Patton controlled the football when he got that right foot down.
Yeah, the head linesman is having a discussion with another official to see if it was possession and a foot. Looks like there was green in front of the toe, so the right foot is inbounds, and it looked like possession to you.
Yeah, I think that's a good play, and Rutgers going to get up and rush to the line of scrimmage here.
22-yard pass play to set up inside the red zone. Running with Martin, trying to get to the edge. Not much room out there. Jeremiah Johnson, the cornerback, on the stop, along with L.A. Gorey.
Adam, I mentioned earlier for Rutgers, especially in the red zone, if they're going to score points and win this football game, they're going to have to win one-on-one battles on the outside. That means Leonte Carew and Andre Patton and even Robert Martin or Josh Hicks from the backfield winning in space. You're going to have to win those individual battles for their head coach.
Martin again. Good moves again by Robert Martin, and he's inside the 10-yard line for a 1st down. 1st and goal for Rutgers. 10 yards on that carry by the true freshman out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who didn't even play his senior year of high school due to an injury.
That was a great individual effort by Robert Martin. Not a lot of running room in between the tackles. He was able to bob and weave and get that football inside the 10 down to the 8-yard line. So individual battles, making people miss in space, terrific job. He's averaging 7 yards per rush this afternoon.
Number 6 recruit out of Pennsylvania last year. Leonte Carew is on the short side of the field with Likely guarding him. Nova looking in that direction, looking to the end zone, looking for Carew. A touchdown for the Scarlet Knights. We've seen a little bit of both Gary Novas. We've seen the bad Gary Nova, but when Gary Nova's at his best, has time, he rifles passes like that.
You're right, he started 1 of 4 for 16. This time it's just a 2-man route to the short side of the field. Terrific timing in the pass offense by Nova to Carew for the 6 points.
Touchdown number 62, the most all-time in Rutgers history for Gary Nova. Federico adds the extra point. A solid drive from Rutgers to march down the field. 8 plays, 63 yards, and Nova was 3 of 4 on that drive, including that nice tiptoeing catch by Patton to get inside the red zone.
Patton did a terrific job of concentration on the boundary. He's able to keep that right foot in, but it was Gary Nova. He was on time, he was on the mark, and in the red zone, he threw a nice tight spiral for 6 points.
And we've seen over 4 years now, and over the course of a pretty long career, considering this guy has made a ton of starts in his career, the good Gary Nova and the bad Gary Nova. Today is his 40th start, more good than bad so far. William Likely from inside the 5. Won't make it to the 20-yard line. Trying to hold on to that football. Very solid drive by Rutgers the last possession.
Well, you mentioned Gary Nova. He was on target for the majority of that drive. A good catch by Andre Patton, but better running by Robert Martin in between the tackles, making players miss. And then the toe tap on the sideline by Andre. He set up this touchdown to Leonte Carew. Terrific job. His 18th career touchdown. That's 3rd in school history. But I thought Gary Nova did an excellent job. 3 of 4 for 37 yards on that touchdown drive.
9 touchdowns last year, 9 touchdowns this year for Leonte Carew. So Robert Martin there, who helped set up that nice solid offensive drive for Rutgers as well, doing the running. Josh Hicks and Robert Martin have done a nice job so far today for the Scarlet Knights. Play clock is winding down. C.J. Brown with a lot of confusion, and it doesn't look like a timeout was called.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
And it's the first time we hear from Ron Snodgrass today. That was the first penalty of the game. Quick catching on the sideline.
Yeah, Maryland went into motion right there, and as they did, Rutgers sensed to run, and they really stacked the box. They went from a 6-man box to about an 8-man box, and C.J. Brown then wanted to change the play. He ran out of time.
First and 15. Off the play fake, here is Jaquil Vay. Former running back, now wide receiver, can do a lot of this in the screen game. Gets that penalty yardage back and more running into Lorenzo Waters. A dozen there, and he is limping off the field.
That's a guy you don't really want to lose for many plays. He looks like an ankle or a knee because they moved him from tailback outside to the slot receiver to be a wide receiver to take up some of that slack left by Stephon Diggs.
Brandon Ross is the back on 2nd and 3. Here he comes. He's a bit more shifty than Wes Brown, but he's got speed. And a penalty marker is thrown late as Jonathan Aiken got a little bit too high on the tackle on Ross after he runs for 14 yards.
Boy, you can see the quickness right away from Brandon Ross.
Face mask, defense, number 26, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Adam, anytime you get around the shoulder or neck area as a defensive back and you get hands to the face, that's just an easy one to call. You're just trying to grab for jersey and you grab face mask, that's going to cost you another 15 yards.
29-yard play total into Maryland territory at the 46. Senior out of Fort Lauderdale with that mistake. Off the fake to Ross. Brown zips one over the middle for long. And he stretches it all the way to the sideline and gets inside the 30. Ran into DeLon Stevenson on an 18-yard pass play, and Maryland continuing to move the football well.
Terrific job by Dion Long attacking the football. Watch him come back to his quarterback through the hole. He's going to come back and then to the outside, but he attacks the football and shortens that distance.
High snap by Sal Conaboy, picked up by Brown, and he will rifle it down the field and is able to get outside of the pocket, but I don't know if that ball got back to the line of scrimmage as a penalty marker was thrown.
I don't think it did.
The line of scrimmage was the 28, and I don't think that ball got to the 28-yard line, John. I mean, great job and great wherewithal to throw the ball away.
An athletic play to get on the football by C.J. Brown.
There is no foul for ineligible receiver downfield. The ball went beyond the line of scrimmage, but out of bounds. There is no intentional grounding on the play as well. Second down.
And I think that was generous because C.J. did a terrific job of getting on that football, but I'm not so sure it got to the line of scrimmage. Just a bad snap by Conaboy. It's well over the head of C.J. Brown. He does a great job of picking up, but look at the pylon. That ball looked like it was clearly 5 yards to the right of the 28-yard line.
Sal Conaboy, who's a very good center, one of the best in the nation, with a terrible snap. But they saved 22 yards of field position with Brown's play, and now right back up the middle goes C.J. Brown on a quarterback run, and he has a first down inside the 15. 15 yards there for Maryland's leading rusher, their quarterback C.J. Brown.
And here comes more tempo and more pace, but that's the identity of this offense. They want it to be quarterback driven on the ground.
Long. Short side of the field, run out of bounds by Steve Longa. They'll mark him out right around the 10. They're not very deep at linebacker, Rutgers. They lost a couple of guys to the NFL 2 years ago, including Kasim Green. Nice cut. Touchdown, Brandon Ross. The tempo of Maryland just killing Rutgers on that drive.
Adam, you called it perfectly. You can see the frustration on the sidelines. That defense was never set. There were 7, 8, 9 guys looking around at the line of scrimmage, not ready for Brandon Ross.
Third touchdown of the season for Brandon Ross. 5 plays of double-digit yardage on that drive for the Maryland Terrapins. They go 7 plays and 82 yards in less than 2 minutes to answer the Rutgers touchdown.
Tempo and pace is what gets Maryland the advantage and springs Brandon Ross into the end zone. It's 21-10, but it's C.J. Brown on the ground with a little Brandon Ross up the middle.
Final game for Will Muschamp. Maybe hoping that a little bit of Ron Zook magic is still somewhere in the air. 7 plays, 82 yards in less than 2 minutes. Very impressive drive, ending with a Brandon Ross touchdown on the ground. 85 rushing yards for Maryland already against a Rutgers rushing D that has been awful as of late.
Giving up 200 yards on an average per game is Rutgers defense, and it looks like Maryland's going to be relentless trying to run the football.
Janarian Grant will take a knee. Rutgers offense led by Ralph Friedgen, his first year as the offensive coordinator for Rutgers, but he was a longtime Maryland coach. Former offensive lineman at Maryland, longtime college and NFL assistant, and was tasked with rebuilding a struggling Maryland program and won 75 games, including 5 bowls from 2001 to 2010. He was beloved in College Park. There's no doubt about it. His final game, that Military Bowl victory, the fans came out in droves. They said thank you, and it was a very emotional end to his Maryland career as the head coach. Was seemingly unceremoniously fired. It was a bit of a perfect storm more than anything else as Josh Hicks runs into the 29-yard line. Boomer Esiason, who was one of Ralph Friedgen's quarterbacks back in the 80s, he said that it was the combination of a new president, a new athletic director in Kevin Anderson. The athletic department was hemorrhaging some money. The fans weren't coming out, but he has a fantastic final year. They don't renew his contract. They bring in Randy Edsall. Ralph Friedgen kind of takes the next 3 years, relaxes, goes down to South Carolina, gets into fishing, just chilling out. And then he got the offer for a second time from Kyle Flood to come up and be the offensive coordinator. This year he took it.
Terrific play caller, great offensive mind. It's Rutgers' advantage to have him calling plays.
Penalty marker thrown as Josh Hicks has the run out across the 40-yard line. This one may come back. Ngakwe was on the tackle to finish off a 17-yard play, but we'll check the flag from Ron Snodgrass.
Holding. Offense. Number 72. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Down to Quinn.
It was interesting to watch Coach Friedgen take the field today, and this stadium has changed a bit since he's been gone. The first thing he looked up, the Big Ten flags on the far side flying. That's new. You know, he's a football coach, and all week long, not talking to the media, downplaying the significance, shook hands with a lot of administrators and coaches from the Maryland side that he knows so well. But it was great during that first period when these fans here gave him a standing ovation as a welcome back.
ACC Coach of the Year, his first year, he said that was his best memory of his great tenure at Maryland, winning the ACC title in 2001. Swing it out to Janarian Grant and out to the 25-yard line to pick up some of that penalty yardage back. It'll be 3rd down and 10. And credit Ralph Friedgen, because we asked him, we were the only ones to get to talk to him. The media, the policy for Rutgers is you don't talk to the assistants. We got a chance to talk to him, and he didn't have anything mean to say about Maryland. Seemingly time has healed some of those wounds over the last 4 years or so. I
don't know if you ever forget, but I think his focus is on the guys that he can control right now. And that's the guys on the offensive side of the football in that huddle, and primarily Gary Nova, to get him better so they can function and come back and get a victory at Maryland.
3rd down and 10. Nova stepping up, firing to the sideline. Here is Patton making a man miss for a 1st down. Sean Davis ran him out, but a missed tackle out on the perimeter by William Likely leads to a 1st down and a pickup of 16. Nice moves by Patton on the outside.
Again, win the one-on-one matchups when you have them, and that's exactly what Andre Patton did. He makes the catch, gets separation on Likely, and then makes a player miss in space to get the 1st down.
Likely again at 5'7", one of the best ball hawks in the Big Ten and really in the country, but still a little bit undersized at that position against a big guy like Patton. Very deep drop. That means deep routes developing, but it also means pressure from the backside. Nova lost the football. Maryland may have it. Sean Davis tomahawked it away, and who's got it at the bottom of the pile? Maryland claiming they have it. A referee hits the ground. Edward Feaster, the center judge, hits the deck. And they're signaling Maryland football. Sean Davis knocked it away from Nova, and the Terps take over.
Awareness and ball security when you leave the pocket. Watch this football. Gary Nova's actually running with it. You have to get it on the outside. That was a strip football from Sean Davis, the safety who was in from the secondary. It looked like Farrand possibly was on the bottom of that pile, Adam. I'm not sure who they gave credit to, but 21 Sean Davis comes up from that safety spot, strips the football away from Gary Nova. That was a terrific job.
Braglio and Farrand were at the bottom of the pile.
The play is under further review.
They'll review it. There's a couple of things to look at here. It looked like Nova certainly lost the football, but on the edge, they have to see who recovered the ball and did they have possession in bounds. 90 is Roman Braglio. He was one of the Terps, along with 47 Farrand, who was at the bottom of that pile.
He may look like he keeps the ball in bounds. He was the first one on it. It's underneath his belly now, but his left arm is out of bounds. So hopefully someone else, if you're wearing that red jersey, is underneath the pile to get it, because that arm slid out of bounds.
This may be our best look at it to see whether or not possession inbounds was the case. So there is 90 with the ball underneath him. Now he
doesn't have possession.
And I thought maybe he was about to go out of bounds. He kind of held himself up right before the sideline, and maybe that allowed Farrand to come in and get possession of it.
That's the guy. That's the guy who has to come in from the inside and gain control of the football underneath that pile.
Now, I imagine the officials, we can't really see it, but I imagine the officials probably have an idea as to whether or not it was Farrand who ended up with the football.
It looked like he rolled out of the pile with possession.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. 1st down, Maryland.
Stands means not enough to overturn the ruling on the field, which was a fumble lost by Nova and recovered by Maryland. But Sean Davis, more importantly, a very good tackler, one of the top tacklers in the Big Ten, getting into the backfield and knocking it away from Gary Nova.
You know what, Adam? And he was the guy on the screen to the wide side that made the tackle the play before. So 2 terrific plays back-to-back by Sean Davis. One on an open field tackle and then stripping the football away from Gary Nova.
Both teams came in with a negative turnover margin. First takeaway of the day belongs to Maryland, and they have good field position at the 40. Brandon Ross, little misdirection, had a nice hole. Wow. And he gets to the edge. A block by Jake Wheeler allowed Ross to take it to the house. Touchdown Terps. One play, 9 seconds, another quick strike by Maryland. And it's the longest run of the season for Brandon Ross of 40 yards. Back-to-back drives, he caps it with a touchdown.
Mike Loxley, the offensive coordinator, wanted to establish the run of this quarterback and get a hot hand at running back. Brandon Ross has come in and delivered a strike.
Craddock adds the extra point, and Maryland has 4 touchdowns in 5 possessions. Big block by Jake Wheeler, who's making just his 2nd career start today.
Wheeler does a nice job. They switch him at the tackle position, but this is all speed on the outside. Brandon Ross outruns everybody to the end zone, and he's making that 28 look pretty good for the Terps.
This Rutgers rushing defense, which has been very rough as of late, has given up 125 rushing yards already and 3 rushing touchdowns. Brandon Ross has 2 of them. C.J. Brown has the other. And another quick strike, the longest run of the season for Brandon Ross at 40 yards. Excellent blocking up front by a Maryland offensive line that has been relatively intact all year. One of the few spots they've been healthy to open it up for Ross, and just like that, an 18-point lead for the Terps. Craddock kicking away, a sidewinder from the Australian. Grant has a chance from the 1-yard line. And Grant taken down out across the 20. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Well, it's really misdirection because you're going to see Maryland start out to the field side. There's the misdirection, and all of a sudden you're going to have Wheeler come here and just put a block on the middle linebacker, Kevin Snyder, and that allows the running back, Brandon Ross, to go back the field, from the field to the short side, and really go untouched. It's a great block at the point of attack, and you make one person miss in space, and you use Brandon Ross's speed to the short side of the field.
Jake Wheeler, just his 2nd career start, put the big block in the hole. And now Rutgers from the 23-yard line, down by 18. Nova got it taken away from him last time. A lot of miscommunication with Leonte Carew there, and guarded by Likely.
And Adam, you would think that's the last person on the field you would not have synergy with in the pass offense.
His high school teammate, his top target, Carew, about 40% of the receiving yards, more than half the receiving touchdowns for Rutgers this year. An elite competitor, Kyle Flood says. That's likely an NFL prospect at some point. Not sure what round you'd go in, but that's probably a guy who has a chance to play on Sundays. Deep drop and out into the flat looking for Burton, the fullback. Got 13 catches out of the backfield this year. Could not corral it. 3rd down and 10. Gary Nova, a little bit rough.
You really make it tough on yourself when you fail on 1st down. They were just trying to throw a hitch pattern, a stop route to the outside and gain 5 yards, gain positive yardage so they can get some momentum back on offense. But now you miss on 1st down, you miss on 2nd down, and you come back to 3rd and 10, and that plays right into the wheelhouse of defensive coordinator Brian Stewart and his 3-4 defense. He will try to make it difficult using that linebacker pressure on 3rd down.
Four-man twist, and it's dropped. Right in the middle of the field, looking for Tyler Croft, the 2nd leading pass catcher for Rutgers with 20 catches. He's the tight end. 3 and out.
As a quarterback, you take a lot of the heat, for your offense when it struggles. That time, Tyler Croft has to help his quarterback. You miss on 1st down, but on 3rd down, you throw a strike, and if you catch it and fall down, you have enough yards for the 1st down.
Likely back to return this Joey Roth punt. Takes a pretty decent bounce near the 40-yard line, and Maryland's offense has been rock solid so far. 258 yards and an 18-point lead. Kevin, you were a Gator?
I
had no idea.
I had no idea Kevin
You hide it so
there.
well. No, I'm sure it's a stressful day for several of our colleagues. Kevin Carter being one of them. Danny Cannell, I'm sure, is
A little happier
wringing his hands until a little while ago. Maryland's offense averaging 10 yards a play. And C.J. Brown looking for a kill shot down the middle, and there's long. Into Rutgers territory to the 37-yard line. Let's go down to Quint Kesnick.
Wheels are falling off the bus of this Rutgers defensive unit. Demoralized players. Coaches scrambling for answers. First, it was the calls from the sideline not getting into the field on time against Maryland's tempo. Then it was bad angles and run fits from the Rutgers safeties. This is a dangerous situation right now.
C.J. Brown with a very late and dangerous pitch. Ross lost it out of bounds. Maybe actually deliberately knocked it out towards the sidelines, and then a penalty marker is thrown. Regardless, Joe Rossi, the first-year defensive coordinator for Rutgers, third year on staff, he's got to be
Well,
beside himself.
CJ was caught in no man's land because he gets by the pitch point, but it almost looked like he was first kicked and then slapped out of bounds by Brandon Ross. That was a smart play because there were plenty more white jerseys around the football than red.
A late penalty marker was thrown on the sideline. Obviously, you can't advance the ball from the spot of a fumble if you bat it out.
It was a backward pass. Ball was on the ground. It was illegally batting on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Lost it down. It's a second down.
But again, you still take the penalty always rather than giving up the football there.
If I'm Randy Edsel, I'm going to take Brandon Ross, give him a big hug and a star and a plus on this grade because he did the smart thing. There were too many white jerseys around the football, and he couldn't recover it, so he bats it out of bounds.
Now, it should be 10 yards from the spot of the fumble. Well, no, it wouldn't be because they would just take it from the line of scrimmage, so that's why it's back at the 47. Second down and 20. But again, you'd much rather take the penalty if you're Maryland rather than giving up the football and a fumble. Right up the middle. Here is Goins, the fullback, at 5'9" and a hefty 233 pounds. Takes it up the middle for 16 yards.
And does it matter? I mean, look at this hole. That's unbelievable. It seems like everyone in a white jersey vacates the hole, and it's too easy right now on the ground. Rutgers has to have someone up front or in that linebacking core make some plays because right now Maryland is winning the battle at the line of scrimmage.
Now it is 3rd and 4. Get all that penalty yardage back and then some to set up a very manageable third down. Nicely done by Goins. And it's C.J. Brown for a first down and more. This was one of the best rushing defenses in the country last year in Rutgers. Now, given some context, they played in a very pass-happy conference, the American last year. This year, in a run-dominant Big Ten, they just haven't been able to stack up.
And here comes the tempo.
C.J. Brown can still pass it. Will fire to an open man, but threw it over the head of Dion Long. Now, I understand it's Amir Abdullah. It's Tevin Coleman. It is Jeremy Langford. It's some incredible backs, most of whom we've seen this year during our broadcast. But last year, they go from 4th in the country, again, in a pass-happy conference, to 100th with a lot of the same players. That's a bit shocking, and it's back-to-back years that they're on pace to give up the most yards in their school history.
It's an enormous step backwards.
5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Jake Wheeler was an ineligible man downfield, they determined, so it's a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, you mentioned about the way this defense has regressed, and in terms of body types, you know, they have to find guys. When you go up with your two nose guard and your tackles weighing 275 and 255, yeah, they're fast, but can they win at the point of attack? Can these guys hold up? to the Big Ten schedule, the numbers say no.
Wheeler got called for that penalty because it was a run play all the way, so he was downfield blocking. When Brown let go of it, it was an ineligible man downfield. So now C.J. Brown makes up for it by taking it inside the 10-yard line. 11-yard run there for C.J. Brown into Stevenson, and this rushing attack for Maryland, which came into the game 110th in the country with 117 on average, has been outstanding so far.
And it's been chunk yardage plays, Adam, that is really ripping Rutgers on the ground.
2nd down and 4. It was 7-3 after 1 quarter, a very fast-paced first quarter. Maryland has 3 touchdowns here in the second. Brandon Ross has 2 of them, and he has nowhere to go. Nicely done by the Rutgers front to plug up the holes and set up 3rd down. Can Rutgers get a red zone stop and stay in this game before it gets out of hand?
Well, they have to tighten up right now with 3:19 and counting before halftime. This is a team that came into the game allowing 28 rushing touchdowns defensively. Now that number is 31, and Maryland's looking to go for number 32.
Been a rough defensive year on the ground, and really in general for Rutgers. The last 2 years have been tough. Long was at the bottom of the trip set. A soft toss for him on the back of the end zone. Perfectly placed throw by C.J. Brown. Touchdown Terps.
When Brown's throwing the football and he's running like he is today, that makes Maryland a dangerous offensive football team.
Brown is 10 of 13 for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had 165 yards passing all game last week against Michigan. He's equaled that. Maryland averages 28 points a game. They're a touchdown past it already here in the first half. Braddock adds the extra point. 25-point lead, and Dion Long, just his 2nd touchdown of the season. Penalty marker was thrown on the extra point. Well, Dion Long, what a year he's had. Suffered a broken tibia and fibula 7 games in last year. The same game that Stephon Diggs suffered a broken leg. A lot of wide receiver injuries the last 2 years. Diggs is out for the 3rd straight game. They lost Tavon Jacobs to a knee injury in the preseason. This was the guy that they needed to have step up in the absence of Diggs.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on both teams. 59 on Maryland, 93 on Rutgers. This is their first unsportsmanlike conduct foul, a second of which would result in disqualification.
Well, Maryland's been rolling.
Offset.
Adam, they've been rolling on offense. 4th touchdown drive in a row. In 6 possessions, they've had 5 touchdowns. Yeah. And C.J. Brown's been the guy. He's been the guy that's made it happen, not only with his legs now, but with his arm. On the inside, you're going to see stop routes to the outside and to the outside. And that's going to allow the post route to get behind. Watch the safety at the goal line. He's going to bite and stay to the middle, and that post route's going to get right behind him with the 9 yards behind in the end zone. This is just great timing, good route distribution, and a good pass by C.J. Brown to the back of the end zone.
C.J. Brown, beautifully done. 10 of 13 and 65 yards on the ground too. 21 unanswered for the Terps. By the way, those penalties were against Dewani Mera of Rutgers and the snapper of Maryland, Christian Carpenter. The offsetting unsportsmanlike penalties. Craddock kicks away. Grant will take it out. Looking for a good return, and will get hit across the 20-yard line. The Civil War, part of our rivalry series this weekend, presented by Jiffy Lube. The Oregon Ducks headed to Corvallis for Saturday Night Football to take on the Oregon State Beavers. Their outstanding quarterback, Sean Mannion. Arguably, Marcus Mariota is at the top of the Heisman charts. It's cold, it's going to be frigid, and it could be the perfect time for an upset for Oregon State. But Marcus Mariota, most people think he's not going to let it happen. They're on their way to the Pac-12 title game against Arizona.
The front runner for the Heisman, you have him going down?
I didn't say he was going down. I'm just saying some people, some of our colleagues say that it could be an upset special. I don't buy it with Marcus Mariota. That's all.
I'm not biting either.
Another drop pass, back-to-back possessions with a crucial drop. That one from Patton. From Gary Nova, and it's 2nd down and 10 for Rutgers.
When you're struggling offensively, it seems like it's a little bit of everything. And that, as a quarterback, you got to keep everybody on the same page. You can't drop the football in the pass game when you're struggling offensively. It's the 4th straight incompletion by Gary Nova, but 3 of those have been drop passes.
170 yards for Maryland. 170 more yards for Maryland than Rutgers. There's a good pass for Patton. Got the 1st down out across the 35-yard line.
Plenty of time before halftime with 2:38 left to go for Gary Nova in this offense to get on the board and feel good about going to halftime instead of being down 35-10.
Score would be big. Rutgers gets the ball to start the 2nd half, too.
Huge opportunity right now for Rutgers to put points on the scoreboard.
This is a 4-score game, a 25-point game. It's a 4-possession game. On the slant into a very tight window for Grant. Good coverage from the backside by Jarrett Ross. Sophomore out of Newark, Delaware. His brother is Brandon, who's had the big rushing game so far for Maryland. 2nd down and 10 coming up.
Get ready.
Now this is the Ralph Friedgen offense for Rutgers. He recruited 7 of the players that are on this defense. He recruited many of the 22 players that are still on this roster that were around when Ralph Friedgen was the head coach of Maryland. Nova with a penalty marker thrown, a couple of them. Nice throw across his body for Grant. Ross tucks him down inside of Maryland territory, but we got to check both markers back near the line of scrimmage. 18-yard pass play and Nova's frustration.
Offense, number 72, 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
That's probably their best NFL draft prospect up front. Caleb Johnson making his 49th straight start.
Yeah, he's right here at the left guard spot, number 72. He's going to be the one called for the hold. Gets that right arm underneath and just a takedown from the waist of Andre Monroe. One of those guys that has a lot of sacks for this Maryland team, 9.5 of them.
You talked about Monroe getting underneath. That's what caused the penalty for Caleb Johnson.
That's right.
3 penalties apiece, and it's 2nd down and 20. Monroe off the edge of this 3-4 Maryland defense. Setting up the screen for Burton. And nowhere to go. Good play by Alex Twine, outside linebacker. Again, it's been a roughed up Maryland defense this year. There is Monroe, who at defensive end at 282 pounds has 24 sacks, tied for the most in school history. He's 5'11", which is rare to see from a guy in that position. Rutgers going tempo, 3rd and 18. Nova firing, and he would have had a 1st down where Tyler Croft had he not thrown a little bit too tall. 4th down.
That's the one that you wish you could have back as a quarterback. It looked like it was just a touch rushed when Gary Nova had enough time to really step into that. It looked like he may have just rushed that one at the end there. And those are the plays you have to make when you're trying to go from 6 and 5 to, to get that 7th victory.
Joey Roth got roughed up as Likely grabs it at his own 24-yard line and tries to switch fields. We'll see if it's running into or roughing the kicker. Now a 2nd marker is thrown on the return. So we'll have to check both flags here. If it was roughing the kicker, it'd be an automatic 1st down. If it's running into, we'll see if they actually re-kick this ball. Then you got to check the other penalty marker, the 2nd marker that was thrown. They might both be on Maryland, actually, now that we check.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker. Defense number 30. Illegal block in the back. Defense number 17. That penalty's declined. 1st down, Rutgers.
So it was Kenneth Goins, the fullback, who's in on the punt block team, He gets called for roughing the kicker, which is 15 yards and an automatic first down.
Well, it keeps this Maryland off, or gets him back on the football field. There's the roughing the kicker right there by Goins. The other penalty would have been declined and is declined, so it's irrelevant, but the offense is going to come back onto the football field. You're trying to make a big play, but you can see the frustration on the sidelines with head coach Randy Edsall. This is a team that was going to get the football back with 1:07 to go in 35-10 and possibly get a chance to score again with a minute left.
And all three of their timeouts. Now Rutgers gets the ball back with a fresh set of downs, 1:07, and all three of its timeouts. Second life for Gary Nova, trying to make this a tighter game going into halftime with Rutgers getting the ball back. Underneath for Grant, wrapped up and brought down immediately by Farron. Clock continues to move, 4 yards on the play.
And Rutgers has all of their timeouts remaining too, so plenty of time, but they probably should have used one there.
And now they lose 5 yards. Inside of a minute, you can get a 10-second runoff penalty. You can save that with a timeout. And obviously they would avoid the runoff with a timeout used here.
False start. Offense, number 74. Rutgers has taken a timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff. This is Rutgers' first timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Keith Lumpkin, his 25th career start, part of a veteran offensive line that has had some issues the last couple of series.
Lumpkin's one of those guys they depend on. You mentioned Johnson and Bujari as the two top guys, but Lumpkin one of those guys they depend on week in and week out.
Sunday, ESPNU brings you the 2014 Volleyball Championship Selection Show. Stanford was the only unbeaten team in the country up until last Wednesday that went on the road to Seattle. Washington shut them down, so there's nobody who's unbeaten. We'll see what the shuffle is going to be for the top 4 seeds. You'll see which 64 teams will be in the hunt for a national title. Presented by Northwestern Mutual, 8:30 on ESPNU. Matt Schick and Maria Taylor will have the show for you. Second down and 11 from the 42. 5-man rush this time. Nova was protected but did not get a very good throw off. Looking for Croft. Third down and 11, 44 seconds to play.
Yeah, frustration for Gary Nova on that one. He knew he had what he wanted on the outside and just didn't make the play. So now you come back, it's third down. You figure Maryland and Brian Stewart, their defensive coordinator, may want to get those edge rushers up the field. That Andre Monroe, you mentioned him earlier, number 93. He's a guy that uses leverage terrific. A smaller rushing defensive end, but can get up the field.
We'll send 4. Long out route, and it's caught by Grant inside the 30. Janarian Grant with a very important play for Rutgers to get deep into Maryland territory. The clock stops at 37 seconds to move the chains. We'll see if they use a timeout, maybe spike it, or maybe run a play. That was 38 yards.
Great throw and a perfect route on the outside by Grant.
A deep out. They'll go tempo. Nova, short out route, and they'll get out of bounds with Croft at the 15.
Plenty of time, so he's going to huddle up, try to get the best play possible from the sidelines. But Nova did a nice job on the earlier play of throwing the football with some air on it, some touch to the outside, and that time he was able to get his tight end out of bounds.
Seen a lot of low throws from Nova,
a little bit more touch. Sometimes when you don't have that right leg to push off of, those balls will either drift or nosedive on you.
You see that brace around the right knee of Gary Nova. Here comes the pressure. He gets rid of the ball quickly for Patton, who has a first down inside the 10, and finally Johnson is able to wrap him up with the help of Nixon. Rutgers will use a timeout with 27 seconds to play, and they've got 4 chances to get a touchdown here, John.
All set up by roughing the kicker.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the penalty earlier keeps the drive alive, and you said it about Nova, and Quint mentioned it at the top. That right knee, when you can't plan off of it, sometimes you have trouble getting air on the ball. He finally got a good one.
Well, he's able to put some touch on the football, and he had a great route to work with. It's a terrific job. You split defenders, and you get to the sidelines on that short corner route. So watch Grant. He's going to set it up, and he's just going to banana outside beyond the corner in a great touch pass on the outside by Nova. He's almost lifting that right foot off the ground and really trying to get on that left side to get on top of the football. Quint said it earlier. He was laboring during warm-ups. He's been probably had this injury for a couple of weeks now, and it hasn't gotten any better. So you try to make adjustments as a quarterback so you can still be effective for 60 minutes.
Gary Nova would probably be considered an erratic quarterback, almost the definition of erratic. His hot streaks can be really, and I mean really good. He can single-handedly win you a game. He single-handedly beat Michigan, threw for a career-high 404 yards. Then you can see the bad Gary Nova, like against Penn State when he threw 5 picks, against Michigan State, against Wisconsin when really nobody played that well. So when he gets hot, you want to ride him as much as you can, but you got to get his confidence up a little bit.
Well, you want to get his confidence up, but you know, as a quarterback, you have to have amnesia to some of those things. When the lows are lows, you want to learn from them, but you don't want to bring them with you on the football field. You want to be able to be the guy that's playing against Michigan and throwing for over 400 yards. So I think right now, Gary Nova is starting to get in a little bit more of a rhythm. He's finding wide open receivers, which helps you as a quarterback, but now you're inside the 20-yard line. So this is Leonte Carew territory. This is where that relationship, remember the short corner he threw earlier in the game for 6 points? You may want to take advantage of a back shoulder throw and use the athleticism of a Leonte Carew.
There's a great story by Ryan Dunleavy about Gary Nova and how he uses his family as his support system. I know that sounds kind of typical, but people don't realize this kid's only 21 years old. Yeah. He's made 40 starts. He's 21 years old. He won't turn 22 until April. Kids on campus yell at him and tell him to transfer. Adult fans get on him while he's on the field. This kid's been through much more than people realize.
Carew's down here to the bottom of the screen.
Short side of the field. Nova looking over the middle. Off his back foot, he got it to Grant. 21 seconds. Does Rutgers use their last timeout?
They do.
They'll use their last one with 21 seconds to play. They've got still 3 shots to the end zone. I would imagine they would pass the football because you're getting a little bit iffy if you start to run the ball.
It's dicey, even at the 2-yard line or 1-yard line. It's dicey because you're at the mercy of the official spotting the football back with bodies going back and forth. So I would think you'd be in shotgun throwing the football. Now, doesn't mean that he can't move the pocket and give him a run-pass option, but with his leg the way it is, you'd want to have him catch and maybe throw.
He seemingly has been at his best when he catches and just gets rid of the football pretty quickly. And there is the red zone target. There's Carew, who's got 9 touchdown catches this year.
18 in his career, and he's only a junior, so you would think if you get 2 opportunities to throw the football down here, you may want to go towards number 4.
Jarrett Ross is right at the line of scrimmage against Carew, who's in the stack to the left. 2nd down and goal. Throw the out route to the goal line. William Likely does it again.
Flag on the play, though, Adam.
Offsides is the initial signal against Maryland. And that is a huge break if that indeed is the call against the Terrapins.
Offside. Defense. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat 2nd down.
Randy Etzel's going, who is that penalty on? What a break for Rutgers, because Nova was picked up by one of the best ball hawks in the country.
It's either on Likely, who was on Carew at the top of the screen, or at the bottom of the screen, someone was in the neutral zone at the edge of the line of scrimmage. In any event, Rutgers gets a mulligan. They're going to get to do this all over again.
2nd down and goal, 17 seconds left.
And Adam, I don't like the call to the wide side with that rub. I'd rather see it to the short side because you can get the football out a lot quicker.
Same thing, Carew is in that stack to the left. Grant is the short side receiver. Nova looking for that out route, and the fade for Carew and overthrow it. 2nd down and goal turns to 3rd and goal. 2 more shots to the end zone. for Gary Nova, Leonte Carew, and the Scarlet Knights.
Tougher throw to the wide side of the field.
You want to see him go?
Real estate. I mean, you can make the throw. You have to be able to make that play when you get an open receiver. But the percentages go down because it's on the right hash trying to throw to the left pylon, to the back of the end zone.
Let's see if they put Carew maybe on the short side here.
I'd rather see the two receiver, the high-low to the short side of the field.
Sure enough, there they go. They're going to put Carew on the short side of the field. William Likely is watchful of him. Likely's on the opposite side. They're going to roll to the wide side. Back of the end zone for Patton and a touchdown. And was that much needed? And how many breaks did Rutgers get on that drive? The roughing the punter penalty, the offsides near the goal line. Rutgers got a lot of breaks, but they finally take advantage.
And the key was they moved the pocket, so it made it a shorter throw for Gary Nova. Watch the call by Ralph Friedgen, the offensive coordinator. They moved the launch point, which made it an easier throw, a shorter distance for quarterback Gary Nova. Now, Rutgers gets that touchdown with 9 seconds. They're going to get the ball back to start the third quarter.
13 plays, 13 passes on that drive. The roughing the punter penalty on Kenneth Goins comes back to haunt Maryland. The offsides penalty at the goal line after Likely had picked off Nova negated that interception, and Nova finally finds Patton.
Terrific job of moving the pocket and allowing your quarterback to get a little bit better look and a better angle to throw that high-low read. You get someone going to the front pylon and then Patton going to the back of the pylon. And Gary Nova does an excellent job on the shotgun snap, one-handing it to his right, and he knows full flow to the left once he gets that ball. So athletic play by Nova. He showed the poise of a veteran quarterback and then threw a seed out to the outside receiver, Andre Patton.
Gary Nova has been average or subpar really the last 4 or 5 games. And he's been average at times in this game, but very solid on that drive. Now again, he got away with an interception at the goal line because of the offsides penalty against Maryland, but when they needed him to find a guy, he found a guy and found Patton for a touchdown.
Well, the difference between the interception, Adam, and the touchdown was separation. The receivers did a better job of creating separation in the routes.
There is Jaquil Fay, and he gets tackled with about 3 seconds, make it 2 seconds, and he was whistled down. Kind of took off. Maybe he didn't hear a whistle. 2 seconds left in this half, and again, Rutgers gets the ball back to start the second in what has become a 3-score game.
So you get a penalty on the roughing, you get a penalty inside the red zone when you think you have an interception, and it gives the ball back to Rutgers, and they take advantage. Let's give them credit. They took advantage of their opportunities.
You know, both coaches, when we talked to them this week about the rivalry aspect or the potential rivalry aspect about this matchup, they said starts on the field. You need competitive football games, a little bit more competitive now than it was before. Let's go down to Quint Kesnick.
Coach, after a very well-played first half, that last drive had to leave a bad taste in your mouth. What do you tell your defense about that last drive?
Well, you just got to keep playing. You know, everybody's got to do their job, had opportunities to get off the field, and everybody just do their job, and that's all you can do.
How do you best describe the play of your quarterback, C.J. Brown?
He's playing very well, but we just got to continue to play. We got 30 more minutes to go, and we got to keep playing better.
Thank you, Coach.
Quint, Coach Edsel, thank you very much. Mostly Rutgers, though, in that first half. They still have the 18-point advantage at the halftime break. A lot of big plays for the Terps. 35-17. Matt Schick and a very nervous or maybe excited Florida Gator Kevin Carter. We'll find out now. Maryland averages 28 points per game, and they surpassed that in the opening half of play. You'd think with Rutgers scoring 17, they'd be in the game. They got a late touchdown to get back to within 3 scores, but an 18-point advantage for the Terps at halftime. Adam Amin, John Kajemi, Quint Kesnick as well. Big touchdown late for Rutgers, and they'll get the ball back to start the second half. But Maryland looked about as good offensively as they have all year against a Rutgers defense that continues to struggle.
C.J. Brown's been the key. He's been able to run the football from the quarterback spot. He's been able to throw it. He's been able to create balance, and that's what Maryland is at their best offensively. When he's going north and south in the zone running game and inside the red zone, the option just walks into the end zone. And he's been able to do it with his right arm. This is a guy that's steadily improving throughout the year, throwing from the pocket. but he also had some help in the running game. He did a nice job of finding guys in space, and this is a guy with speed in Brandon Ross. 2 touchdowns in the first half. He did a nice job of really exploding that running game. But for Rutgers, it's been the good Gary Nova. He's been on target, especially late in that last drive. He's able to fit some footballs into tight windows. He's been getting some help from Grant, and then on the outside, moving the pocket and finding a receiver in the back of the end zone. That's Andre Patton. So they're able to put points on the scoreboard. They get the football to start the third quarter, and that's a good sign for number 10, Gary Nova.
We'll see him on the field in a moment as Rutgers got a much-needed touchdown. A lot of breaks on that final drive. Some Maryland miscues, some penalties kept the drive alive. The Australian Brad Craddock kicking to Janarian Grant from the 4-yard line. And Janarian Grant has a seam. Craddock to beat. There goes Janarian Grant. Likely catches up to him to swing him down inside the 30-yard line.
Terrific job starting out the third quarter. Rutgers special teams. Grant, he had a couple of catches in the first half, and now a huge play to get the football all the way down to the 25-yard line. Good patience, and then that burst of speed up the sidelines gets this offense in instant field position.
His second 71-yard kick return this year. He had one against Indiana. He has one here to set him up at the 25-yard line. An explosive play to start the second half for Rutgers. Let's see if Gary Nova can continue the rhythm. He does to start off this half to Patton. And Patton diving inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. 21-yard pickup. It's 1st and goal Rutgers.
Just a little stop route to the inside. He finds that zone. He settles in, and then watch the second and third effort to get the football inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. 2 plays, one on special teams and one offensively. Adam, they're teeing it up on the 4-yard line.
Patton had 9 catches all year. He's got 7 today when they said they needed him to step up the most. On the ground, here comes Robert Martin, and he got chopped down by Likely at the 1.
If I'm Rutgers, I come right back with that same play. That was a great surge by Lumpkin, Johnson, and Bujari on that left side of the offensive line. You come right back and run it behind the guys that have been the best up front for you, and that's that left side of the offensive line.
The true freshman Martin stays in the game. Gets the carry and powers in for a touchdown. What a start to the second half by Rutgers. Set up by the 71-yard return by Janarian Grant. Martin caps off the drive with a touchdown, his 5th of the year.
We talked about at the beginning of this broadcast, how do you get a rivalry or create one? You create it on the field. Well, this is a nice job in setting the tone for not only these two football teams going at it in the Big Ten, but the start of this second half, Rutgers answers the bell to start the third quarter.
It looked like Maryland on that drive. We saw a lot of quick strikes by the Terrapins in the first half. Rutgers needed less than 1:15 to march down the field, and obviously was set up by the Janarian Grant 71-yard return.
Terrific job by adding the spark on special teams. Janarian Grant goes 70-plus on that return. He sets up Gary Nova in the offense in terrific field position. They go outside to Andre Patton, who gets it down to the 4-yard line, and then tough running off the left side. Just a terrific surge, and they get into the end zone. That's a way to start the third quarter.
Much needed for Rutgers. Robert Martin, true freshman, along with Josh Hicks, another true freshman, manning the backfield for a team that has suffered 3 crucial running back injuries. Savon Huggins before the year, Paul James 4 games in, and the last 2 games without Desmond Peoples. Justin Goodwin seemingly wasn't getting it done as much, so they turned to the 2 true freshmen in Hicks and Martin to try to get a little bit of a power running game going. And so far today, they've run the football well. Martin with a touchdown.
And Adam, whatever the message was at halftime, it was pretty good on that Rutgers sideline. Now Randy Edsall and company, who his message going to the locker room was, hey, we just got to keep playing. Well, exactly. They have to find a way to keep playing and keep pace with Rutgers now.
Here is Likely. Hitting at the 20-yard line. Let's go down to Quint Kesnick.
get off of blocks and make tackles in space, the words of Kyle Flood, in terms of his defense that was absolutely fleeced in that first half. I asked him about the angle play from his safety. He said both times on 2 Maryland touchdowns, both the slant and the Brandon Ross run, his players, the safeties, were in position to make the play, and they just missed the tackles. I said, Coach, you going to stay with the 2 high safeties and invite Maryland to run, or are you going to put more guys in the box? He says, no, they'll stay with the 2 high safeties, so look for the Terps to keep it on the ground.
Had a very good running attack in that opening half of play, Quinn. Starting this drive, it is Brandon Ross making Wes Brown to the 24-yard line. Brown did most of the carrying in the first half out of the backfield. Brandon Ross did most of it late in that first half. Second down and 6 coming up.
And I would think if you're Maryland, you keep trying to win that battle at the line of scrimmage. Try to knock off Rutgers and get your quarterback run involved as well.
Goins up the middle, and Rutgers defense suddenly with some life. Remember we said at the top, John, that C.J. Brown wanted to move around a little bit, kind of get his feet going, then he gets a little bit more comfortable. Long delay from the last time the Maryland offense was doing anything, about 48 minutes of real time before they take the field for this drive.
Well, they have to do something here on 3rd down. This is important. You have to be able to keep your offense on the field, especially after the quick scoring strike from Rutgers to start this 3rd quarter.
Setting up the screen for Wes Brown. And he's got the first down out across the 35-yard line.
Adam, that's a terrific call. That's a good job on 3rd down by Mike Loxley, the offensive coordinator. They go trips to the field. All the attention and the eyeballs are to the wide side of the field, and they come back and dump that tailback screen to Wes Brown, who uses his quickness to move the chains.
11 yards to set up 1st and 10. From the 38, option play for Wes Brown. And along the edge, he powers his way close to midfield. Darius Hamilton finally ran out after another strong run right around 10 yards. And it'll be enough to move the chains.
I think if you're C.J. Brown right now, Adam, you want to get involved in running the football a little bit, but not too much. You do it by design, and that's why they're spreading the football out, the formation out, and really widening this defense out.
Stretch to Wes Brown. Cuts it up the field into Rutgers territory and taken down by Kenneth Kirksey and Darius Hamilton. 4-yard pickup there to the 49-yard line. Maryland comes into this game with a 7-4 record, 4-3 in Big Ten play. They started 4-1 with a lone loss in that stretch by 3 to a very good West Virginia team in a game where Clint Trickett had over 500 yards passing. They beat Penn State in State College. They beat Michigan in Ann Arbor last week. It's been a pretty impressive season. First year in the Big Ten. Pressure on C.J. Brown, getting away from David Maluski, but cannot get away from the second surge as Dewani Mira finishes him off back near midfield. 3rd down coming up here.
Again, it looked like they wanted to go back to the short side of the field. But Dewani Mira did a nice job in tracking C.J. Brown, so another opportunity for Rutgers to get off the field. This time it's in their favor at 3rd and 8.
Look at C.J. Brown's numbers on 3rd down today. 4 first downs, 5 of 5.
He's been perfect.
Cornerback blitz coming. Brown takes a deep shot for long. Can't hold on to it. Good defensive play by the freshman, Trey Boggs. That was quite the throw, and Long was in position to make the play. Boggs got in at the very last split second.
Well, it looked like Long, if he goes up and gets this football instead of allowing it to go down to the shoulder level, if he stops and goes up and gets this hits the back of the defender's arm, of his left arm, of Boggs' left arm. But if he can stop and make a play on the football, you might even get pass interference.
This is the second punt of the day for Nathan Renfro. That's it. They've had multiple long snappers this season due to injury. Christian Carpenter is back and healthy, but a penalty flag is thrown before the play.
False start. Offense, number 21. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
Sean Davis on the punt team called for the false start penalty, so move it back to the 45. This is the start that Rutgers was hoping for. Touchdown late in the first half, touchdown to start the second half, and a good defensive stand on their first series on the field. Pressure on Renfro. Fair catch signaled by Janarian Grant, who was interfered with. Jaquil Vay was trying to get out of the way, but just couldn't. There's also a penalty marker thrown back where the snap came. So there's 2 markers on the play, including the kick-catch interference. But we got to check both flags here. Again, Vay, nothing malicious by any means, just couldn't get out of the way.
Yeah, just couldn't avoid the return. He's trying to lead himself on the sidelines.
Illegal motion. Offense. Number 21. Kick-catching interference on the offense. Number 34, 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down.
Davis called for 1 penalty. Obviously, the Vay penalty was the kick-catch interference. So back-to-back penalties on Sean Davis. Let's take a look here. Moved before the play, and then Jaquil Vay trying to get out of the way. Again, nothing malicious, just could not get out of the way as Grant shifted over to his right. Suddenly, Rutgers down by 11. They've got the football back. Suddenly, we've got a game here at Byrd Stadium.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by Jiffy Lube. Leave worry behind and stop by a Jiffy Lube today for a signature service oil change.
Looked like it was going to be all Maryland. They had a chance to go up maybe over 30 points at the end of the first half. Rutgers gets a late touchdown, a touchdown to start the second half, and they get a stop. Some crucial Maryland penalties have helped Rutgers cause out, including a kick-catch interference that helps out their field position here. And just like that, Gary Nova, who's starting to settle in, has his team down by 2 scores. A score makes it a 1-score game.
You get a return to start the third quarter, 71 yards. A couple plays later, a touchdown run by Martin, and now you've got Gary Nova setting up at the 30-yard line.
We'll go to one of those freshmen. This is Hicks, and Cole Farron makes the tackle. Tackled at the 33-yard line. Josh Hicks came into the Rutgers program as a highly touted running back, had a very solid career at Palmetto High School in Florida. He was actually the first commit of the 2014 class, but he moved to safety in early October. The athleticism, he's got some power. They wanted some help on the defensive side of the ball where Rutgers has struggled all season. So they moved Hicks to safety. Nova to Croft, a 1st down, and powering his way and pushing the pile to midfield. Very strong play by Tyler Croft, redshirt junior out of Pennsylvania.
Adam, it looks like one team came out in the third quarter with a purpose and wanted to play.
Right.
And right now, Maryland's doing a lot of catching on defense. This is a team offensively, if Rutgers can keep this momentum and tempo and execution up, they're going to score some points in this second half.
He led the team in receiving yards last season, Croft. 2nd on the team this season, well behind Leonte Carew. After the 17-yard play to midfield, it's 1st and 10. Nova steps up into a good pocket, but throws wide of Patton. Wide of Johnson as well. And that was a dangerous pass by Nova. It sets up 2nd and 10.
The boundary corner was all over at that time. It looked like Jeremiah Johnson ran the pattern for Andre Patton to the short side. That was a good break on the football.
Here's Hicks trying to get to the edge, and Jeremiah Johnson makes a good play in the backfield, a loss of 5. This guy's been hampered by a bit of a hamstring issue. Sean Davis actually moved over to cornerback last week because a couple of weeks ago, because Johnson was a little bit banged up.
little bit of a draw play, but everybody in a red jersey was in the backfield waiting for the freshman Josh Hicks to get the football. So now it's 3rd and long. And if you're Gary Nova, you have to protect the football here. Don't try to get a catch and run for the first down. Don't force it when you have the momentum here.
Off the edge, it's a cornerback blitz. Nova fires for a first down to Janarian Grant. How about the second half? This guy's come up with the 71-yard return, and now that pickup of 23 on 3rd and long.
And that's way too easy. Maryland brings pressure from the field right over where Janarian Grant started, but it's a bust in coverage. He's wide open down the hash mark, and that's really easy for Nova to pick up, throw an accurate football, and move the chains on a down where Maryland had the advantage.
To the 32-yard line. Nova settling in since that late drive in the first half. Quick drop, quick throw to Carew. Got past Johnson, got past Nixon, and Sean Davis helped finish him off. Carew picks up 8 yards there. 2nd down and 2 coming up for Carew and Nova, the high school teammates at Don Bosco.
And you can just feel the momentum and the confidence on the Rutgers sideline with this offense out on the field. They're dictating the way they want to run and call plays right now in this 3rd quarter.
They trail by 25 points at one point in this game. Chance to cut it to 1 score. 4-man rush, and Nova on the shallow cross finds Tyler Croft for a first down to the 18-yard line. Again, there's good Gary Nova, there's bad Gary Nova. The good Gary Nova can be streaky, but those streaks are about as good as you'll find for this guy.
Well, he's been efficient so far tonight, and it started out a little rough, but he had a lot of drops mixed in there in that first quarter. Now the offense is moving with efficiency, and I think the guys around him are elevating their play.
Straight up the middle. There goes Josh Hicks. Again, running back to safety, back to running back. And Ralph Regent told us that the move back to running back for Josh Hicks, he begged for it. He needed help in the depleted backfield with the injuries to Peoples and to Paul James. This kid has the body to be a good back. Still a long way to go.
You can see the athlete he is, and he's very cautious about protecting the football.
Carew's at the bottom of this formation. 2nd and short. Hicks just holding on. Terps rally to the football, and let's see where the forward progress got him. One line judge is coming out to the 8-yard line.
I think it's going to be first and goal.
First down. It is 1st and goal here. And a field goal, again, even a field goal makes it a 1-possession game. Obviously, if you're Rutgers, you'd prefer the touchdown.
Yeah, you want to score 6 right here. If you're Rutgers offensively, you get a little lather going to that offensive line. You got a freshman running back that's pounding it in between the tackles. Man-to-man to the field side.
Nova to the field side, to Carew. Touchdown, Rutgers. 2nd time he's found Leonte Carew. It's a single-season Rutgers record. 10 touchdowns for Carew this year. And don't look now, but it's a 1-score game in College Park.
And Adam Carew came all the way from the short side of the field, and Gary Nova did an excellent job of locating the football above a linebacker and before the corner, Jeremiah Johnson could close on the pass. Terrific job by looking outside first and then allowing his playmaker to come from the short side.
Federico makes it 21 unanswered for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, who trail by 25. Suddenly, it's a 4-point game.
Gary Nova, an excellent job of gaining the momentum, his poise, his execution, and as you said, it's only a 4-point deficit.
Maryland has helped Rutgers out a little bit at times, but to the Scarlet Knights' credit, they have taken advantage. Late in the first half, it's a 25-point game. Rutgers is punting away. Joey Roth gets roughed by Kenneth Goins, keeps the drive alive. Gary Nova suddenly seemingly gets into it, finds Janarian Grant to get into the red zone. Touchdown to Patton. Grant comes out of the gates in the second half with a 71-yard return. Eventually leads to a Martin touchdown. And then we see more good Gary Nova on the last drive.
He does an excellent job of looking outside first to Patton, but he found his playmaker in Carew coming from the short side, and that ties the single season record with Marco Battaglia, the tight end. 10 touchdowns on 51 receptions, and he's having another great night. And somebody who was having a great night for about 30 minutes was Randy Edsall. Now he's kind of looking up and saying, 35-31, what happened?
Let's go back to that last touchdown where Carew was found in the back of the end zone.
Terrific job by Nova. He's going to look outside, and initially he sees man-to-man coverage out on a single receiver to the top with Patton, but he's going to allow his receiver to get to the back of the end zone and come off of the man-to-man to the wide side and find Carew to the back of the end zone. He has to lift the football and deliver it over a linebacker and before Jeremiah Johnson. So a good job with his eyes and good patience to allow Carew to get to the back of the end zone.
Well, C.J. Brown had a very good first half through the air and on the ground. He starts this drive from the 25-yard line. That misdirection play that got Brandon Ross a touchdown in the first half. There goes Brandon Ross again. Jonathan Aiken runs him down inside the 35. He had the 40-yard touchdown on that same misdirection play in the first half.
Quint talked about this at halftime. Missed tackles in open field, they're going to get you every time. And this time, Lorenzo Waters misses the tackle at the line of scrimmage and allows Brandon Ross to go down the sidelines. That can't happen when you fight so hard to get back into a football game.
That's now the longest run of Brandon Ross's season. The previous one was the 40-yarder for a touchdown. That's the third 40-plus yard play for Maryland today. The other one was that touchdown to Amba Etatawa. Brown keeps it on the option. Probably not a great decision. Easy to say from up here, though, as he gets swung down by Darrell Stevenson, the redshirt junior. And it'll be second down on a loss of about a yard.
Tackling in space. Rutgers, the defense has to do a better job in the second half to stay in this football game with Maryland. Maryland's trying to spread the defense out by formation to create seams to run the football.
They spread it out with 3 to the wide side. The fake to Ross. The pump, and now the pressure, and the rollout, and the toss away. Hamilton got into the backfield to force Brown to toss it away. Third down and 10 for C.J. Brown and the Terrapins. Rutgers defense much better looking, although they just gave up that 44-yard play. A little bit more pressure, finally starting to get to Brown a little bit. There's Joe Rossi, who was the interim defensive coordinator for the bowl game last year, taking over as the defensive coordinator full-time this year. Back-to-back rough seasons for the Rutgers defense, historically bad for their program. Trying to come up with a 3rd and 10 stop. C.J. Brown is driving. Well protected, 8 back in coverage, looking for a window, and it was nearly intercepted. C.J. Brown overthrew his intended target.
And they may keep the offense on the field on 4th down.
They've got one of the best field goal kickers in the country, and now they're bringing him out. Brad Craddock, a Lou Groza finalist, along with Roberto Aguayo of Florida State and Josh Lambert of West Virginia, who beat Maryland with a game-winning field goal this year, has made 23 straight field goals going back to last November. One more will time Mike Nugent for the all-time consecutive field goal record. This a 50-yarder. Craddock has not missed this year, and for the 4th time in his career, he drills a 50-yarder. This kid is one of the best in the nation.
That was money. That was no doubt when it left his right foot where that football was headed.
Only he and Mike Nugent, the current Cincinnati Bengal, the former Ohio State Buckeye, have made 24 straight field goals in Big Ten history. 4 of 6 from 50 or more in his career. The Australian-born and bred Brad Craddock makes it a 7-point game. Nine National College Football Awards 24 finalists for those awards given annually during the show. This is our Home Depot College Football Awards. Thursday, December the 11th, the red carpet special on ESPNU at 6. Then on ESPN at 7 Eastern, the awards ceremony. Also available on Watch ESPN. We have one of those 24 finalists in our game. That is Brad Craddock, the Adelaide, Australian native, who has had quite the journey to become a college kicker. Quint Kesnick with more on that.
And Craddock trains in the offseason with former Baltimore Ravens kicker Matt Stover, longtime NFL kicker. Says that Craddock both has the mentality and the leg to kick in the league for a long time. They've been working on his upper body, convincing Craddock that his upper body matters as much as his lower body with regards to technique. The way he sets up with his shoulders and arms prior to every kick.
Yeah, you saw that on the field goal try as well. Kind of sticks his arms out to get him ready to go. Janarian Grant close to the 30-yard line.
It is very similar to the way a golfer approaches hitting a ball. Watch how he sets this up, and watch his upper body, the way he sets up with his shoulders and arms the same way prior to every kick. He locks everything down and keeps everything really still on the way to the ball. And straight through. The mental games there as well, and confidence is clearly on his side.
It's a kid who worked as a tennis coach out of high school in Australia, would email college coaches at 3 o'clock in the morning to try to get scholarships. Finally got one from Maryland. He's been one of the best kickers in the country. Here comes Rutgers, still down by only one score, and a good hand catch out of the backfield by Robert Martin. Works his way to the 33-yard line. 18 of 18. He's the only perfect field goal kicker with at least 10 attempts this season. Had a 57-yarder against Ohio State. He's almost a guaranteed 3 points.
Well, you know what? Anytime you're in, you get in a certain range, you feel like this guy's going to be no problem. He's got it. He's been perfect all year, so you feel confident if you don't turn it over, you're going to get at least 3 points.
A lot of space on the wide side of the field here, Johnny. That's where Nova's looking. Gets away from Jeremiah Johnson. Throws the cross to Carew. Against Anthony Nixon. Cuts it back against the grain. There goes Leonte Carew. Chopped out by Johnson inside the 25. 42-yard connection, and Gary Nova stayed alive on this play.
And let's credit the elusiveness of Gary Nova. Even with that bad right wheel, he's able to make somebody miss and then still locate his playmaker Carew. It was a two-man route. They were going to go downtown after the play action. He wanted to go to the post pattern, but he decides to come off to Carew, who makes a big-time play, and now Rutgers set up at the 25-yard line.
Let's see if they go back to Robert Martin here. Use the eye back. Here he comes. The tackle at the 35 by L.A. Gorey. His name is Lorne after his father, but he goes by L.A., the senior out of Maryland. Again, he's one of those guys on this Maryland defense that Ralph Friedgen had a hand in recruiting. About 7 guys on this defense that are still playing were recruited by Friedgen.
All the seniors on this side, Ralph had a hand in welcoming to Maryland, and what a great venue to come back to in a great second half so far for Ralph Friedgen in this offense. They've been able to come in and score points in this third quarter.
Some credit to the defense for Rutgers as well, finally standing up. Over the middle, Janarian Grant. He got hit pretty hard at the 13-yard line, but he's got the first down to the 12. Inside of 2 minutes to play for this third quarter. Maryland again led by 25 at one point in this game. Rutgers with a chance to tie the game, which is something we would not have expected to say midway through the second quarter.
Good protection for Gary Nova from this offensive line. 4 of 5 in the red zone. They've been efficient once they've been inside the 20-yard line.
So that big offensive line, they're going to use Martin to run behind it inside the 10. Running into Gorey once again. Gorey mixing it up a little bit with Chris Muller, the right guard. Go back to what we talked about. This is only the 10th meeting, but these two schools are separated by less than 200 miles. The geographic proximity the entrance into a 119-year-old conference together. Could this turn into a rivalry? You need competitive games, and we've gotten one so far today.
You're recruiting the same kids from the same areas, and you only do it by having competitive football games. This one's turning into one.
Carlton Agadosi is on the wide side of the field as the receiver. Nova will give to Martin, and he gets hit in the backfield at the 10-yard line. L.A. Gorey was one of the men into the backfield, and he was slow to get up after the play. Bowers helped finish it off.
Well, Adam, I think Bowers was the guy that ran along that defensive line of scrimmage along with Gorey to make the play. Let's credit this senior from West Palm Beach, Florida, Dwyer High School. He ran along that offensive line and was able to corral the running back.
Maryland was on the verge of going up 30 points late in the first half. Rutgers was within 25, getting a touchdown, got to within 18. Started the second half red hot, and suddenly they're within 7. But a huge third down to start the fourth quarter for Rutgers offense. Randy Edsall trying to get to 8 wins for the first time as the head coach of the Maryland Terrapins. 38-31. Maryland on top as we head to the fourth. Robert Martin, the effort to get a touchdown for Rutgers. Leonte Carew in the back of the end zone. Rutgers outscored Maryland 14-3 in the third. We've got a one-score game in the Big Ten. That's weird to say, isn't it? Rutgers trying to do something they've never done before, and that's rally from a 25-point deficit for a victory. They trailed by as many as 25 today. They're down by 7 with 3rd down and 8 coming up, and arguably the biggest play of the game so far. Their largest comeback was by 24 points on October the 9th, 2004 against Vanderbilt. They trailed by 25 today, and the biggest play of the game arguably is right now. 3rd down and 8 from the 10.
Ralph Friedgen has moved the pocket, moved the launch point the last time they were down in the red zone.
They found Carew for a touchdown. Nova to the end zone. Pat's there for a touchdown. An extra point will tie this game.
Adam, it starts with great protection from your offensive line and a good, accurate throw. But how about Rutgers coming out in the second half and catching fire offensively?
They have outscored Maryland 27-3 over the last about 15 minutes of game time. Basically the last quarter of this game. Remember the late touchdown at the end of the first half.
Illegal substitution. Defense, 12 players on the field. Half the distance to the goal. Remains on the try.
Gary Nova turning into supernova here in the second half. He's been outstanding. We talk about it. He's erratic at times. He's the definition of maybe erratic. You have good Gary Nova, bad Gary Nova. But the good Gary Nova, as we've said, his entire 40-start career, the good Gary Nova can be really good and single-handedly help Rutgers win games. He's gotten them back from down 25 to tie it at 38.
Well, you can have success when you have time. And this is perfect protection down in the red zone. A nice pocket to throw from. And then you get a whole high-low stretch from Grant. He's going to go to the front side pylon. And you're going to stretch it with Patton to the backside. And he's able to fit it in between Davis and Likely. It's just good execution by your quarterback, your offensive line, and good separation in the route.
And how about Andre Patton? 9 catches for 55 yards all year. They said without Drew Terzilli, their big play guy, they needed him to step up. 8 catches, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He has more touchdowns today than he had his entire career at Rutgers.
That's not a step, that's a leap.
Yeah.
The emotion on the sideline seemed to have changed completely right before halftime, and it seems like Maryland never really got back on track. The big play on special teams ignited Rutgers. Their defense had to stand, and then it's been Gary Nova and company offensively.
We got Maryland fans tweeting, hey, did Maryland ever come out of the locker room at halftime? And this has been quite the turnaround. Can Maryland get something going here? A very short kick, and William Likely from inside the 20 grabs it. Returns it out to the 26-yard line. When we're done here in College Park, I almost wanted to say we're going to go to another ACC game, but it's not. We go from the Big Ten to the ACC. Duke trying to make some program history, looking for back-to-back 9-win seasons. They take on Wake Forest tonight on ESPNU. That's at 7 Eastern. You can also watch it on Watch ESPN. Hey, the Demon Deacons coming off a win. They beat Virginia Tech. How about last night? Virginia Tech. Chippy game.
Cold.
Frigid in Blacksburg. Fun game last night. Maryland has been outscored 28-3 over the last quarter of this game. C.J. Brown's been pretty solid all game. So is Brandon Ross. He's going to get dropped for a loss in the backfield by the safety DeLon Stevenson. And suddenly this, and I say this truthfully, awful Rutgers defense in the first half has stepped up massively here in the second half.
It's a different football team that came out in the second half. Offensively, defensively, special teams. Everybody's making plays. There you get a tackle in the open field. That didn't happen in the first half.
Second down and 12. Looking for a window, a low throw, and was it snagged? It was by Jaquil Vay. Got the catch to the 32-yard line. Let's check in with Quint Kesnick.
Yeah, this Rutgers defense spent most of that first half yelling at one another on the sideline in terms of effort, assignments. Right now, a totally different bunch. You can just see body language and watch the way they're getting off the ball and getting off of blocks up front. Just a radical transformation.
And it also seems like they're not allowing tempo to affect them in the second half.
It tremendously affected them in the first half. High snap, C.J. Brown escapes one tackle. There he goes with space. C.J. Brown into Rutgers territory. Jacobs runs him out of bounds inside the Rutgers 45-yard line. He evaded one crucial tackle in the backfield.
For Rutgers, everybody's in the right spot, but if you don't make a play on the quarterback, if you don't tackle, you're not going to get off the field. And Lorenzo Waters misses C.J. Brown in the backfield. Assignment was perfect, execution was lacking.
Brown made something happen, as he has done so many times in his Maryland career. From the 44-yard line, the 60-year senior swings it out. Here comes Vay inside the 40 and grabbed from behind and brought down by Kevin Snyder. Pick up about a half dozen there.
Remember what Randy Edsall said about his quarterback when he talked to us yesterday. He wants him to be decisive, not only in the passing game, but if he doesn't like what he sees down the field, don't hesitate. Run the football and get positive yardage.
He used the word reckless, which was interesting, wanting Brown to play a little bit more reckless. Flag thrown from the defensive backfield.
False start. Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
19th career start for Andrew Zeller, the junior out of Red Lion, Pennsylvania. Both offensive lines have a lot of experience.
And Randy said, you know, this is probably the part of their team that's been the healthiest.
Yeah.
The offensive line, and Zeller, one of those guys that have been standing out and playing consistently throughout.
Jake Wheeler, the left tackle, making his second career start. Off his back foot, Brown looking for Wes Brown, and he made the catch. Jonathan Aiken jarred him out, but Wes Brown able to hold on. Julian Penix-Odrick got into the backfield, forcing Brown, C.J. Brown, into a tough throw.
That's a great play. You retreat as a quarterback away from the pressure, and you throw to your running back going down the rail who has enough poise to keep a foot in and catch the football. Terrific play by Brown.
Pistol look here. Brandon Ross Gets to the edge and turns what would have been a negative play into a positive. Chaffee got into the backfield. Penalty marker is thrown as Ross got to the edge for about a yard or two. A little bit more of a choppy start here in the fourth quarter. Ross's 5th career 100-yard rushing game of the first of this season.
Holding. Offense. Number 66. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Zeller again. 2 penalties on this series for the right guard for Maryland.
And just when you think Maryland's starting to regain some of that momentum, you have a couple negative plays, and that's tough to overcome for an offense that hasn't had a lot of snaps in the second half.
And they spent almost in 3/4 of an hour basically in real time off the field from the end of the first half to beginning the third quarter. The first down and 20. Incomplete on the sideline. Looking for the tight end, Derek Hayward, the redshirt freshman. First time he's been targeted today. And it brings up 2nd down and 20. He's only made 2 catches all year.
Mike Loxley, the offensive coordinator, trying to dial a play up that just gets about 5 or 6 yards. Just try to get some of that
back.
penalty yards back to put C.J. Brown back in a positive situation.
Off play action. Brown's protected. Looking down the seam. Incomplete. No, it's complete. Now it's ruled incomplete. It will look like Jaquil Vay had a shot at it. For a second, we thought it was incomplete. We were right the first time. Vay was claiming he had it.
And I think C.J. Brown was trying to get the ball to Vay, but his tight end tried to go back and catch the football behind him. That's probably not the way they designed the play with 2 seams going so close, 2 seam routes running so close side by side.
That was Hayward who reached back behind him, ended up deflecting the ball, and Vay clearly saw it hit the ground before he corralled it. The right call, and it's 3rd down and 20 from the 43-yard line. Rutgers not showing pressure. They're only going to bring 3. Brown over the middle, a low throw seeking Malcolm Comer, and it's ruled incomplete by the line judge on the near side. But boy, those 2 penalties by Zeller just kind of took the rhythm out of this Maryland offense.
Took the air out of this drive.
Yeah, Brown had that great run to get into Rutgers territory, and everything kind of got shot after those 2 penalties. And even that last pass, say Comer catches it, maybe they're in field goal range.
Well, this ball was low, and it looked like the receiver goes down to get the football. I think the ball maybe goes off the shoe. I'm not so sure that ever touched the ground.
The snap for the punt gets off to Renfro, and it's well over the head of Janarian Grant. Not a very good punt. That's a net punt of 23 yards. Very choppy offensive series for Maryland, but let's go back to that play. John, you might be right. Take a look here.
I don't know.
Made the grab? Did that ball ever touch the ground?
I don't think it does.
Rutgers ball at the 20 when you come back. At one point, Rutgers trailed by 25. It was 35-10 at one point in this game. Rutgers has worked itself back behind Gary Nova. 7th time in his career he's thrown for 300 or more yards. 7th time in his career he's thrown for at least 4 touchdowns. After a 23-yard net punt by Maryland. Rutgers sets up from the 20-yard line, and here comes Josh Hicks, the freshman. To the 26, 25-yard line, the forward progress sticks him right about there. Give him 6 on the play, tackled by Farron, and it's 2nd down.
Rutgers has had most of its success running the football over Lumpkin, Johnson, and Bujari, the center, the left guard, and left tackle. That's where they're getting the most push from their offensive line.
Lumpkin has made 25 career starts. Caleb Johnson making his 49th consecutive. And Batim Bujari making his 35th career start. A lot of experience all across this Rutgers offensive line. Jet sweep here for Janarian Grant. And Grant has a first down and more breaking tackles. Swung down by Likely near midfield. A solid run of 24. Let's check in with the studios. An update from Schick. Maddie, Kevin, thanks very much. And I'm sure there's a lot of fans in Columbus right now and maybe even Fort Worth, Texas that are cheering for Ole Miss right now.
Absolutely. You know, with the result of Ohio State and being able to beat one of those teams in the Big Ten championship, they keep it rolling. Mississippi State might be the first team out, and Ohio State and TCU battling to get in.
First down from midfield after the good run on the jet sweep by Janarian Grant. Nova, confident throw over the middle to Grant, who's been a big play guy this entire second half. Started it off with that 71-yard kick return. He gets 7 yards before Farron gets him. Second down and 3.
Everybody wanted to talk about Carew, and rightfully so, but Grant and Patton for this offense has really stepped up, and Gary Nova wanted to go to the short side, had plenty of time. He finds his slot receiver to the field, and Rutgers, a lot of momentum right now offensively.
Good balance, it feels like, too, between the run and the pass, but Josh Hicks gets tackled by Gorey, maybe a half yard on the play, if anything at all. Third down and short coming up here. Remember what Ralph Regent told us? You know, my life would be a lot easier if somebody besides Leonte Carew got open. And that's been the case today, Jim.
It's a little bit easier in the second half. They've been able to find, even Tyler Croft has chipped in from the tight end spot. So Ralph's doing a nice job calling plays, and his quarterback, Gary Nova, making good decisions in the pass game.
Both teams 7 of 11 on third down. This is 3rd and 2. Looking for Grant, another first down. Wrapped up at the 30-yard line by Zach Dansell. But Janarian Grant continues to be a huge target for Gary Nova here in the second half. It's a first down to the 30-yard line in Maryland territory.
And he uses his tight end, Tyler Croft, as a rub. Tyler Croft's running up the field. He takes 2 defenders, and Grant's able to run underneath for a short dig route. That's just perfect execution by Croft, taking 2, and then Grant coming underneath, and the numbers speak for themselves, especially in the second half.
A pair of 100-yard receivers today for Gary Nova. Nova to Carew, and Leonte Carew snags it. That's 3 100-yard receivers today.
And you cannot have any better coverage than Jeremiah Johnson had on Leonte Carew. It's just going to be a corner route. But Gary Nova has so much confidence in his high school teammate, he can just put it up and get it close, but you can't cover it any better. The only thing you can do as a defender is turn and try to locate the football.
Carew 104, Patton 101, Grant 105. They have 22 catches between them, and it's 1st and goal for Rutgers, looking for the lead. Nowhere for Josh Hicks to go, right into Darius Kilgo, the senior out of Charlotte. Part of a trio of seniors on that front 3 for Maryland. 2nd down and goal.
And the youngster might have missed the hole. I think it was to the right side. If he goes behind and where the play was designed, he may walk into the end zone. Maryland has to make a stand.
Yeah.
They have to do something defensively to get off the field, or at least hold Rutgers to a field goal opportunity.
Nova on 2nd and goal, setting up the tunnel screen for Agadosi, and he gets popped by Farron inside the 5. Just the 10th career catch for the redshirt sophomore to set up 3rd and goal right near the 3. Out of Somerset, New Jersey, my old stomping grounds, Franklin High School. He makes a first catch of his day, and now decision time. What do you want to see in this field position in 3rd and goal?
Well, Jadarian Grant, he wants the football. You can tell him going up to his quarterback, Gary Nova, he says, you know what? Give me an opportunity to win on the inside. He's at the slot receiver to the top of the screen.
Now Rutgers is going to call timeout to talk things over. .6:22 to play in College Park, Maryland. Rutgers has not led in this game. They've got a chance to take the lead on the other side, searching for their biggest comeback in school history against Maryland. Celebrating its 10th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $3.7 million in scholarship monies. Rutgers has not led today. They trailed by 25 at one point today. They've got a chance to take their first lead of the day. If they can take the lead and win this game, it would be the largest comeback in Rutgers history. 3rd down and goal.
Nova's made great decisions in this second half. Can he make one more in the red zone to take the lead?
Carew was at the top of the formation. There was movement before the play. So push it back to the 8-yard line.
False start. Offense. Number 74. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
It's Keith Lumpkin. 3rd down and goal from the 8.
And it doesn't hurt you as an offense. It just gives you a little bit more room, actually, to operate. So that penalty, although it backs you up 5 yards, it doesn't really affect what you want to do offensively. If anything, it might just give you that extra space you're looking for.
There's number 4. Leonte Carew, Gary Nova's high school teammate, one of the best receivers in Rutgers history statistically. Bottom of the screen. Nova under pressure and out of the back of the end zone. We'll keep it at about a 25-yard field goal try for Kyle Federico to try to take Rutgers' first lead of the day.
Good defensive stand by Maryland. They forced the field goal, and that was a wise decision by a veteran quarterback in Gary Nova, just to throw the football away and try to get the guaranteed 3 points here. It looks like a chip shot from the middle of the field.
Officially a 25-yarder. The snap of Allen Lucy. And for the first time today, after trailing by 25 points with 6:14 to go, Rutgers has taken a 41-38 lead. C.J. Brown and the Maryland offense, a dynamo in the first half, not so much in the second, takes the field. Indeed we will, Matt, but we've got a pretty good one going right now. We keep talking about it because it's shocking to say. We never would have thought we'd be saying it, but after trailing by 25, Rutgers has taken a 3-point lead. It's first of the day with still 6:14 to play and an opportunity for this Maryland offense, which has been a big play offense all day, to take the field with a chance to tie or take the lead. They're going to avoid William Likely. Federico kicks it short to Vey at the 20-yard line. And Shaquille Vey might make him pay, and he's out across the 45. Great field position for Maryland as Vey pushes it to the 50-yard line. Maryland with a chance to tie or take the lead. As you get a look at today's Taco Bell game track, Maryland led 35-10 in the second quarter. A lot of bad Gary Nova. Then late in the first half, takes over, settles in. He's thrown 3 receivers to over 100 yards today.
He's been unbelievable in the second half. Not that he was bad in the first half. He had a lot of drops in that first quarter, but 28 of 42, 347, 4 touchdowns, and you mentioned 3 Rutgers wide receivers go over 100 yards. So this is a team that was resilient coming out of halftime, and it's been a complete collapse for Maryland, both offensively and defensively, especially on the defensive side of the football.
A great field position for C.J. Brown with plenty of time. Zone read with Ross. He'll keep it. Work into Rutgers territory with a gain of about 4.5. running into Chaffee. And it's second down for C.J. Brown. An injury-plagued 6-year career for this young man. Recruited by the Fridge, by Ralph Friedgen to Maryland. Redshirted in 2009 on the scout team all year. 1 game played in 2010 because of a fracture in his right shoulder. That started the injury issues for C.J. Brown. A torn ACL. Sat behind Danny O'Brien, sat behind a couple of Maryland quarterbacks, and trying to lead a game-winning drive right now. C.J. Brown doing the running again. He's got the first down to the 37-yard line. Dragged out from behind by Glashin. 1st and 10 on an 8-yard run.
And there's almost too much time left on the clock. If you're C.J. Brown, you want to almost take your time because you want this to be a drive where you end up in the end zone and don't give the football back to Rutgers.
Ross to the 36-yard line. Hamilton and Kirksey on the tackle. Short pickup. Now again, looking for the touchdown. Field goal is almost automatic, although you and I have seen some strange things happen with kickers. There's one of the best in the country in Craddock.
Craddock's been perfect, but you don't want to leave it up to him. You want to be able to get the football in the end zone.
They're well within Craddock's range right now. Trying to run it up the middle. Ross bouncing off tackles, but got grabbed by Kirksey and swung down. So preventing him from moving forward for a gain. It'll be 3rd down, about 8.5, 9 yards here.
Well, this Rutgers defense is moving a lot faster with urgency in the second half, and their reads have been perfect on the zone read play from C.J. Brown to Brandon Ross. They've done a nice job of their assignment. Someone's on the ball carrier on the running back, someone's on the quarterback. Can C.J. make a play from the pocket on 3rd and 9? With his arm, not his legs.
Dion Long on the far side of the field. It's been quiet in the second half. Just a 3-man rush. Brown, a deep ball and incomplete. Looking for Jaquil Vay, and Davon Jacobs came flying in to try to prevent anything happening for Vay. It'll bring up 4th and 9, and it would be about a 53-yard field goal try here. But is C.J. Brown going to come off the field? Craddock's waiting.
They may take a timeout.
They will. They'll talk about it right now. 4th and 9. 3:50 to play. Now, you get the field goal here. Now, you don't want to assume it, but it's been just about automatic, even from beyond 50 yards for Craddock. They're going to talk about it. It'll be interesting to see what the decision is for Randy Edsall on the other side in a 3-point game with one of the best kickers in the country waiting. Brad Craddock setting up potentially for a 53-yard game-tying field goal. Adam Amin, John Congemi, Quint Kesnick, what do you got?
Well, this is a kick that Craddock was hitting in warm-ups, but that was earlier this afternoon when the wind was cooking pretty good. More than 10 miles an hour right to left. The wind has died down. The flags are absolutely flat right now. Just a slight breeze. This kick should move a little left on Craddock, who looks to stay perfect.
Would set a new Big Ten record for consecutive field goals made. Officially a 54-yard try. He's made one from 50 already today. This to tie the game. For the first time this year, Brad Craddock has missed. Rutgers still leads by 3. And it's his first miss since November of last year.
And Adam, he had plenty of distance.
And what did Quint say? This should move a little left. It absolutely did.
And it absolutely did. It started left and stayed left. He better keep his head up. He may get another opportunity with 3:45 left to go. Randy Edsall was leaning the whole way, and he knows he may get another chance.
Yeah, still plenty of time in this game. Kyle Flood pumped. Rutgers still leads with the ball. Still plenty of time. 3:45 on the clock. And here comes Robert Martin on the carry. Solid run, about 7. And it brings up second down, so about 3.5 to go. Craddock, he took a missed field goal against North Carolina State a couple of years back, took it very hard, but that was when he was a freshman. He's grown up the last 2 years. He's got to get his head up for Maryland right now. That was there are not a lot of kickers that would make a 53-yard field goal. You understand why he's upset, but he's going to have to pick it up, John, because, again, there's still too much time in this game.
Well, he's hoping that his defense can get him another opportunity. They're way too much yards given up on first down, and Rutgers is going to try to run it again here on second.
They bleed about 37 seconds of the clock as Martin
lost
the ball. It's loose near the 45. Who's got it? Maryland thinks they have it, and they do. The Terps with a takeaway. Down 3 with 3 to play. They've got the ball back in Rutgers territory. Keith Bowers came out with it, Johnny.
That's what the big fella underneath. We talked about his play along the line of scrimmage. The senior from West Palm Beach, he's on the bottom of this pile. But if you're Robert Martin, the freshman, he loses the football, and it's a massive scramble at the bottom of that pile. Keith Bowers comes up with it, in Maryland now. We talked about that extra opportunity, how the defense can get off the field. I think Martin just lost the football.
He just lost the football, it looked like. So again, another opportunity for C.J. Brown. Still plenty of time. Both teams have 2 timeouts remaining. 2:54 to play. Brown to throw, and now Brown to run, which is something he does very well. He slid down. The slide started at about the 39-yard line, so about 6 there on the run.
And that's what Etzel wants. If he doesn't like it, tuck the football and use your legs. That's the best thing that C.J. Brown does offensively, is use his athleticism.
He's run for 107 yards. It's the first time Maryland has had 2 100-yard rushers in the same game in 17 years. Ross is the other. This is he. And close to a first down. Running into that pile. It'll be 3rd down and about a yard here. Still time, 2:10 to play. You see that green field goal range line. They've crossed over it, so technically into Craddock's range, and now he's going to warm up again to try to get another shot potential.
Yeah, you want to kind of speed up the momentum here on 3rd down. You want to run this football, use your quarterback to get the first down. That'll stop the clock, but you need a little bit more urgency because as an offense, you're still thinking touchdown.
Just need a yard to keep this drive alive. Motioning Long, they give it to Long. And Long cuts it up the field to Darius Hamilton with a huge tackle. What a play by Darius Hamilton, the junior. A teammate of Gary Nova and Leonte Carew at Don Bosco Prep. One of the most disruptive players on defense for Rutgers. Forces 4th and inches with the clock moving.
I'm not so sure of the play call there. You needed a yard. You want to get north and south. You've got a quarterback or a big running back. You don't want to go wide in that situation.
Brown and Ross in the backfield, 4th and inches. Here comes Brandon Ross, and he was stopped short. Hit shy of the 35-yard line.
To gain. First down, Rutgers.
What a stand by the Rutgers defense. Kevin Snyder helping fill the hole.
Unbelievable turn of events. The Rutgers defense, they do go north and south, but they win the battle at the line of scrimmage in the backfield. Just a terrific play coming down the line. First guy there was Stevenson, 27.
And Kamoko Toure.
Toure from the outside. So Randy Etzel doesn't elect to give his kicker an opportunity to make a long field goal. They give it in the hands of the offensive line, and Rutgers up to the challenge.
54 seconds left.
Timeout, Maryland, their second. This will be a 30-second timeout.
And Adam, what can you say about the way the Rutgers offense played in the second half and the way the defense played, especially? This is a defense that gave up 5 touchdowns in the first 6 possessions of the first half, and they've only allowed 3 points since. And they came up with a huge stop there on third down first, and then on fourth down to turn back Maryland's offense.
Second down and 13. Maryland can stop the clock one more time. Clarifying, the scoreboard had 2 timeouts up there for Maryland. It's only 1 timeout left. They just took one now. Remember, they had to take one before the field goal try. Brandon Ross, who's had a dynamite day, his first 100-yard rushing game of the season, but could not get the yards they needed on fourth down, and very short. Rutgers defense on 3rd and 1 and 4th and short comes up with the stops.
It's a 30-second timeout.
Again, if they finish this out, they're well on their way. It would be the largest comeback in Rutgers football history. They trailed by 25 points in the second quarter today. The late touchdown in the first half, the explosive plays to start the second half. Remember, it was a 25-point lead for Maryland, and they were going to get the ball back late in the first half. Joey Roth was punting. Kenneth Goins, the penalty for roughing the kicker. It was 4th and 18, I believe. That penalty gave them extra life. They got the touchdown at the end of the first half. The 71-yard kick return to start the second half by Grant, leading to the Martin touchdown. Gary Nova found his groove. He found his high school teammate for a score. This one tied the game for Andre Patton. That made it 38 apiece. And then the field goal by Kyle Federico from 25 made it 41-38. Now they have to run this play here. There will still be about 6 seconds left if you were to bleed the entire play clock here. Rutgers leads by 3. I don't know if maybe you get the snap and run around a little bit, or what you're trying to do. Do you punt the ball away and just hope to make the stop here?
Well, there is about 6 seconds differential between the play clock and the game clock. So you're going to take this all the way down and probably just take a timeout.
And probably talk to Gary
Nova. Talk it over
on
the sidelines to see if they want to bring the punting unit out to do that, or they want to get in shotgun and let Gary Nova do that.
So here it is, timeout, or they take the penalty here. Penalty. So they'll take the penalty, 5 seconds left.
5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
So what do you want to do here? Do you just take the snap, try to bleed out the clock and take a knee? Do you punt it away? What are you looking for?
I think you could even take a safety if you wanted to, but I would just run around. You've got.
That's a long way to go, right?
They're going to move back to 6 seconds left.
Okay.
Okay. So do you trust your quarterback, or do you trust your punter to run around, or do you punt the football? I think you might even want to punt the football and angle the football so it bounces around and takes some time off the clock. So you make sure you kick it out of bounds, number one. You don't want to allow Lively to get the football. So there's a couple of options. You can have Gary Nova run around with the football. You can have your punter take a safety or run around and try to exhaust the 6 seconds, or you angle kick out of bounds away from the returner and try to exhaust that 6 seconds.
You would think Maryland would have William Likely set up to return, a guy who's had 2 career punt returns for touchdowns, including one against West Virginia this year, if the punt team is out there indeed.
Well, even if the punt team's out there, maybe you put your best athlete on the field to take the punt.
And that's exactly what seemingly they're going to do, John. They've got Leonte Carew back there, so looks like they're going to try to bleed the 6 seconds here. Is it risky? Sure, but it might be their best option to avoid Likely. You could also maybe quick kick it with Carew because there's nobody back to return here.
Yeah.
There's nobody back for Maryland. Likely's come up to the line of scrimmage. This might be a quick kick. He's going to run. Carew. There's a flag thrown on the play. There's 2 flags thrown. He's looking at the scoreboard, and he'll run out and take the safety as the time winds down, but you have to check the penalty flags here. Ron Snodgrass, our lead official, threw 1 flag on his own. There was another flag thrown from behind the Maryland defense. Carew did a nice job bleeding out the 6 seconds. That's tough to do, and he did it, but let's see the flag.
Holding. Offense, number 85, 10-yard penalty. Have one untimed down.
Alan Lucy, the long snapper. So now it's one untimed down to play here. Now again, what's the decision here? Because it's going to be 4th down, and you're pinned a little further inside your own territory.
I'm not sure who they called on the hold here, but there was plenty of guys. There's a hold there. There's a hold on the outside. There's
about
a
3 of them, Johnny.
Yeah, it was everywhere, but you're trying to exhaust the 6 seconds. Now you have an untimed down.
And you know what, Johnny? This almost makes it, I mean, obviously the game would have been over had there not been a holding, but now they're pinned a little further back. This makes it much easier to take a safety and end the game.
Absolutely. You can just take a knee. It's
really,
you don't have to do
right.
anything.
Yeah, absolutely, John. You're right. No time left on the clock. Gary Nova takes the knee. That's the ball game. And Rutgers has completed the largest comeback in school history. What a moment for Kyle Flood and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. The second largest comeback in FBS this year, and the largest comeback in the Big Ten since Northwestern beat Indiana after trailing by 25 points.
Unbelievable, because if you would have seen the first half, you would not have given Rutgers a chance to come back in this game, just because it was totally dominated on both sides of the football by Maryland.
Let's go down to Quint Kesnick with Kyle Flood. What a moment.
Coach, you're down 35-10 in the second quarter, and things weren't going well, especially on defense. What was going through your mind?
Just the next play. That's all we think about is the next play. You know, you get caught up in the other stuff, thinking about the scoreboard. It doesn't help you. We told the players before the game, empty the tank. We told them at halftime, empty the tank. To their credit, they kept playing. I said many times this year, there's a special group of young people. They proved me right today.
What do you think the turning point was?
Well, I think we started making some plays on offense, and we started getting some stops. You know, we talked at halftime. We thought we had some guys in the right spot, didn't get them on the ground, and then we started making some plays and getting them on the ground.
How do you best describe the play of your quarterback, Gary Nova?
Gary's a special player. Yeah, he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats at Rutgers, and when you work at the birthplace of college football, there's a lot of great players, and he's going to be one of them.
Biggest comeback in school history. What's it like to coach this team?
I love this team, and I've loved them all year. They had a great offseason, and they've really battled this entire season. I couldn't be prouder to lead these group into the Big Ten.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
The biggest comeback in Rutgers football history. Gary Nova, who was a little rough in the first half. He was dynamite from late in the first half on, and Rutgers completes their biggest comeback in school history, a 41-38 win over Maryland. These two teams end their seasons 7-5. For John Congemi, our fantastic crew, Adam Amin saying so long. Back to the studios, Matt and Kevin.